Welcome back to another FPL reaction stream. We're looking ahead to Game Week 11 and we're going to review all the Game Week 10 actions so far. We've got plenty of games left tomorrow and a lot to discuss, to be quite honest with you. We'll get straight into it, of course, and answer your questions and comments as always. Only a few hours ago, I did a deadline stream, of course, and yeah, a lot was discussed and already a lot of football has been played and, wow, I just can't wait to get into it. But it's another poor week for me, 21 points so far. And I've got 4 players left in Mbeumo, Rodgers, Palmer, and Solanke. So I could salvage something once that Salah goal went in. Once again, back-to-back weeks where a goal by him has kind of severely damaged my rank. And I think just before that happened, I was around 900k and I had a small green arrow. Miklenko had the clean sheet. That was wiped out towards the very end. But I think the tone was set from the very beginning in the early kickoff when Arsenal conceded very early on against Newcastle. A great cross by Anthony Gordon and Isak with a bullet header, and ultimately double Arsenal defence has been absolutely terrible. 15.4 million spent on an underperforming forward as well. Well, I mean, do we sell him and go to a more balanced squad, go for Salah, Palmer and Saka at the same time, maybe a Watkins or Jackson up front and Trent at the back? That's something I've been discussing for quite some time now, but let's get straight into it. Smash the like button if you enjoy the video and also subscribe to the channel. We're getting closer towards 30,000. And I think by the Tuesday deadline stream for UCL Fantasy, we'll be making even more progress by that stage. And keep your eyes peeled for the videos in the next day or two. So the plan is to do a best wildcard and limitless team. So you'll see them on the Sunday and Monday. And the same goes for the team selection heading into match day 4. Allen, I think, sums up perfectly with the first message. Another week, another disaster. I think for a lot of people that is true, but there will be some out there, of course, with a good week, especially Salah captainers. And I did say all week, for me, he was the best captaincy option. It was looking quite poor for Liverpool, though, and Brighton could have been 2-0 up. But in the end, in just a space of 3-4 minutes, Liverpool turned the whole game around, and Salah did what Salah does best. Salah may have potentially saved my game week, says Batman, and Southampton has finished, says Cunha, what a baller. I think I fell in love again. I believe that was 3 big chances created for him, 4 key passes. He was pivotal for the second goal. And of course, he assisted the first. A very good performance by him. I think Cunha and Joao Gomez were the best players on the pitch. Also, your feelings on the title race? I think the title was there for the taking. I don't think there's a standout team. You know, Man City are not the same as they have been in previous seasons. Rodri is a massive miss. De Bruyne is back though, and I think that'll help Erling Haaland, and City will get back on track against Brighton. I firmly believe that. But if I'm being completely honest, I still think City will win it, despite the fact that they don't look as strong as they used to. Easy99 says 43 points so far with 3 players to go. My 3 defenders helped me a lot. Yeah, that's good. I'm glad for you. I just wish my defenders could do something similar to that. Are Raya, Haaland and DCL finished? Would you drop them? I don't think Raya and Haaland are completely finished FPL-wise. I think they'll come good, especially Haaland. As for DCL, yeah, I mean, it's a very clear sell by this stage. And I think if Beto's goal had stood, I think Calvert-Lewin drops to the bench pretty much in Game Week 11 or 12. Gary Clark says 36 with 4 to play. I think that's a decent score, all things considered. It should be a green arrow in most ranks. Foden got so unlucky today. Yeah, I think he was decent, to be fair. He's got a great record against Bournemouth, another reason why I bought him. And Brighton away, still a favourable fixture for him. He scored plenty of goals at the Amex before in the previous season, so I'm hoping for more of that, FPL-wise anyway. Another 36 score by Jonesy Chats Wrestling, with Palmer, Rodgers and Mbeumo to play. Pretty decent stuff in my opinion. Even if you've only got 3 players left, that should be a green arrow. Unless you're in a really high rank and, you know, when we're talking about like top 100k and stuff at this stage of the season, yeah, maybe 36 isn't enough, but I wouldn't know. I'm not in the top 1 million. Southampton's finish says 10 points so far. What? Cunha the only one who returned for today. Palmer, Garnacho, Johnson, Flecken, Mbeumo, Robinson and Jimenez left to play. Yeah, you've got a lot of eggs on the Sunday basket, so that makes sense. Palmer captain. That could easily turn into 50 plus. I think you'd easily get more than 30 for sure. I'd say 40 to 60 is probably what you're aiming for in a low scoring week once again. Crispy says Foden to Garnacho and upgrade my 4.5 million striker to Cunha for a -4. Yeah, I like that. Once again though, and maybe I'm being too stubborn, I still believe Foden has something up his sleeve, and as I mentioned a few minutes ago, he's got a good record against Brighton, particularly at the Amex Stadium. I might look to sell some C assets this week, particularly a certain Norwegian robot, and I'll talk about that in the team selection because I don't want to finalize anything now because I think my reaction to it will be too raw, and I want to think about it logically and finally get something right in FPL. I like the Garnacho and Cunha transfers, they look great, but I just reconsider selling Foden this week for a -4 hit. I think the best time to sell him is probably game week 12 or 13. FPL Kevy says Leaf Davis and Salah captain for me. Fair play. Everyone else blanked. Have Garnacho and Mbeumo left, 41 points. Still though, the captaincy came in clutch for you, and Leaf Davis so close to, well, it's still a great return from him, but if he got the clean sheet as well, that would have been legendary. What do you think the average will be after today? I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. I think it'd be around 25 at the moment. But yeah, I have no way of telling. I think livefpl.net does give you these statistics as well, but I don't pay too much attention because it just makes me feel bad. Manish says, I did a -8 today. Got Salah. Good stuff. I think for a lot of people who asked me, I was kind of keen on buying Salah, but not for a -4 or -8. But in the end, I think it paid off in some scenarios, especially if you bought Cunha and Salah at the same time. Got 22 points so far. Salah captain carried me, but Aina, though, that was a fabulous goal by Aina. I mean, that was incredible. And of course, Salah captain seems to be the way right now. I captained him twice this season, and he got 1 assist across those 2 games, but I was probably too impatient with him, to be quite honest with you. I will be buying Salah and captaining him, so I'm just warning everyone out there. So if I do destroy Salah again, I do apologise in advance. Or do I? I don't really care at this point. Mackenzie, thank you for the super chat. Good to see you as always. 13 points from 6. Another absolute shocker. 3 huge red arrows in a row. Gone from 30k to 530k. 2 14 points reds in a row. Then a 19 point in Wildcard 12 hope. I wish you the best, Mackenzie. It is very tough to take, especially when you start the season so well. Now, I'm not going to claim I had anywhere near as good of a start, but I was around 200k around Game Week 3, 266 to be exact. But ever since, it's been absolute pain since I started making transfers and wildcarding. So I can somewhat relate to you, although your situation is even worse. Hopefully you can turn things around, but it doesn't mean you have a bad squad. Sometimes you need a bit of luck. That's the way I see it, and I've always said about FPL, even when I was actually doing well in this bloody game. Thank you very much for the super chat, and let me know if you've got any questions ahead of Game Week 11. Of course, by the deadline stream, I'll have a clearer answer in terms of how, things will go. Right now, this is a kind of knee-jerk, raw reaction. That's the point of these, and sometimes we can come up with good ideas, and sometimes they're going to be terrible, but it is what it is. Thank you to those that are tuning in, by the way, over 200 of you. Our aim will be to get this stream to over 200 likes, of course, but I'm not going to keep on, bragging on about it or all that jazz. You know my stuff. The content is free. I do appreciate your support, and thank you to those that have subscribed and liked the videos already. There is a new feature on YouTube, by the way, about, like super chat goals and stuff. I think that's pretty nifty and stuff. And earlier in the deadline stream, I gifted 10 memberships. And of course, last week, I also gifted 10. So every month, keep your eyes peeled, and I'll be gifting memberships to those watching. All you need to do is engage in the live chat and also just be there, really, as Pep Guardiola says. Welcome, Beardy. Good to see you. The chat is insanely busy right now, so I will try to whiz through these, but I can't guarantee anything. Welcome, Adil. Always a pleasure. Also, good to see you again. Likewise. It's not good seeing my FPL team. I have to be honest. I want to take my glasses off and just be blind like Velma, but it is what it is. Another disaster, says John Laws. Don't worry. The good times will come, but it might require some surgery. I've got free transfers available. I'm looking at the positives for myself anyway. Haaland is going this week. Yeah, look. Haaland as well, it's a serious consideration to sell him. I even discussed this in my team selection yesterday, but I just know the time that a lot of people will sell him, I could see him doing really well against Brighton and Tottenham, but ultimately 15.4 million, he's just not worth it at the moment. DCL being the worst striker in the Premier League, I've got to think about that. Maybe you're right, in terms of starting strikers in the Prem. He might be up there, but you never know. There could be someone even worse, but I have to think about it. 28 points with 7 players to go. Yeah, that's good. I don't think that's too shabby, actually. That could be a small green arrow, depending on your rank as well. Still no Haaland. You don't need him, mate, honestly. The last time Haaland was almost essential was back in Game Week 4 or 5. John G, welcome. Hi, Dylan and channel members. Thanks for jumping on again today. I hung on to Havertz, but after today, I'm ready to sell. Yeah, I completely agree. I think I said this either in Game Week 8 or 9. He was a sell in my Transfers podcast because he had a lot of tough games coming up, like Liverpool at home. But you also look at his away record this season, and he's only got 1 goal, and that came in the Carabao Cup against Preston North End. No goal contributions in the Premier League in away matches, and you've got Chelsea away next. Now, Havertz is on 99 club goals, and who knows, maybe he gets his 100th against Chelsea. That would be poetry, but you're kind of just hoping here at this point. Nice score, 57 points with Son, Raul, and Mbeumo to go. Really promising, of course. You've guaranteed a green arrow by this stage. and Son is probably the best captain for Game Week 11, so you're well poised as things stand, although I don't know the context of your team. Alex says, so glad I had Ines 15 points, legend. It was a great goal to wrap up a great win for Nottingham Forest, who are now 4th in the Premier League table. Yeah, look, Liverpool still had 6 big chances, though. I'll admit, I didn't watch the whole game, so maybe you're right, and I think they could have gone 2-0 down very easily. They rode their luck a little bit, but ultimately they created chances. They scored 2 goals in the matter of 5 minutes, and they turned things around, and they deserve to be top of the Premier League table right now, and they're definitely the ones to challenge Liverpool, to challenge City, should I say, at this moment in time. I'm done with Haaland. A lot of people feel that way. It'll probably swing in a few weeks' time, and it'll be great again, but I think by that stage, most people would have deviated to Salah, Palmer, Saka in the midfield. When I say most people, I mean probably those engaged on YouTube and Twitter. Wasn't the best FPL-wise, but really happy results-wise. Yeah, that's something that I kind of always fall back on, you know. If FPL doesn't go well, the most important for me is my club. Well, they lost as well, so it's just all a shit show, really. What can we do? But sometimes these days happen. You can't always get the win. Don't worry, Palmer will rack up your points. Yeah, but his effective ownership is quite high. To be honest, if he does well against United, I'll just regret not captaining him. So, yeah, it's better than nothing, I guess. I see what you're saying. It's good to be positive-minded, but it's difficult when you've got my bloody team. But I appreciate that. Dylan, what Spanish team do you support? None. To be honest with you, I don't support a Spanish team. I come from Argentina, so I've got an Argentinian team, Rosario Central, who lost the other day. So it's just a great week for me. Fantastic. But yeah, Spanish team, I'm sorry, I don't really support any of them. I've got a soft spot, I guess, for Valencia and stuff like that, you know, because they had a lot of Argentines in the past, but I don't support them necessarily. Smash the like button to thank Dylan for the incredible forum and all his hard work. Thank you very much, John G. It's always a pleasure, and thank you for the support you've given for the last couple of years. And thank you, Chip. I appreciate that because my FPL team isn't doing a good job, but I'm glad that the YouTube content is okay. Mackenzie says, I do have Garnacho, Wissa, Mbumo, Johnson and Borro still to play. I guess hoping for a small red. Maybe got to claw 19 points back from those 5 to get safety. Trust me, stranger things have happened. I think those lot will get you plenty of points. 20 plus minimum. Will it be enough to secure Greenhow? Maybe not, but I think that's a very good set of players to have. And I love Garnacho between Game Weeks 11 and 13. I hope Palmer puts out this fire. Hi, Dylan. Yeah, I think he'll get something against United, but I was just less keen on him because of the sack of Erik ten Hag. I think if he had stayed, I was very bullish on the Palmer captaincy. But then again, earlier in the week, I was actually on Foden. Forest are 3rd, aren't they? I thought they were 4th. Maybe you're right. So yeah, City are 2nd now, Liverpool 1st. I'm going to have to double check that. I think you might be right about that. The last time I checked, they were... Yeah, you are right. They are 3rd. Arsenal are 4th. A 1 point difference between them. One of Villa or Chelsea could actually go into the top 3 tomorrow. So, yeah, it's a very balanced Premier League table, which is good to see. I just hope it's not the same outcome and the same team always winning it. So, hopefully we see a difference in the title holder. Singh says, absolute disaster gaming until now. 20 points with only Chris Wood returning. I completely relate. And by the way, I forgot to mention, look at first on my bench, Semenyo. I'm not the only one out there. I think a lot of you would have benched Semenyo this week. He's on for maximum bonus points, and that's 10 points overall against Man City. Yeah, just more pain. If I had started him over Rodgers or just anybody, Haaland, I would be on a green arrow. But then again, it's just a terrible performance from my team, and I don't really deserve a green arrow at this stage of the week. So, not trying to be a twat or anything, but I might have to put this on subscribers only mode just to be able to, you know, go through all the chats as I like to do. So I do apologize in advance, but yeah, I think I'm gonna have to, you know, just keep things down a little bit. I do appreciate all the comments and stuff, keep them plugging away, but just to kind of be able to go through everything, I'll probably put this in place. So yeah, I do appreciate all the support. Keep on, you know, going with the questions and stuff. I think a lot of them are very good. And I think reaction streams tend to have better questions than deadline streams where, you know, we all know what happens in those. It's very hectic sometimes. So let's see if we can set up this goal as well and see how it works. I did it earlier as well, but can't really claim to be an expert with this anyway. So I will be streaming for the next few hours. You know, typically reaction streams are like 2 hours-ish, just like a deadline stream. And there will be a Tuesday one for UCL Fantasy. If you do play that game, be sure to tune in to my channel as well. The best wildcard and limitless team videos will be out very shortly. And also the team selection. I'll be recording all of that on Sunday and Monday. So keep your eyes peeled. Okay, so I'll set that up in a little bit. Let's keep going back into your questions. Yeah, KDB is back though. I know, but even if he's back, I just think Haaland at 15.4 million isn't worth it. I'd rather have Salah. You could go for both, and I've actually got a way of buying Salah whilst keeping Haaland. It would mean a weak defensive line though, and it could mean some issues. A very weak bench as well in the process. Finally plucked up the courage and got rid of Haaland and Diaz. Bought Salah and Cunha, and that paid off. Semenyo on the bench hurt. Yeah, but I mean, it would have been great to start him. His effective ownership was very, very low. So his goal was kind of inconsequential FPL-wise. Only for those that started him, they would have been feasting, of course. But great transfers in. I do like Salah and Cunha. I was considering those two myself this week. And I'm still looking to buy them again in Game Week 11. Let's see if I pluck up the courage, but I can't guarantee it. Mackenzie says, I sold Salah and Watkins so I could afford Haaland in Game Week 7. Some disaster that, but I was always going to do it because his fixtures were amazing. Did that sack a 16-point captain, even though I had Haaland. Yeah, of course, you win some, you lose some. But I think those that didn't have Haaland at the beginning and then bought him around Game Week 6, very, very unlucky with how things have turned out. That's the way I see it. Liverpool weren't poor. Brighton were just superb. Of course, they threw the lead, but that is just a normal day on the pitch for them. Yeah, look, I think based on what I saw, which was mainly the highlights and of course just a few bits here and there, I thought Liverpool weren't poor, but they were under severe pressure and Brighton could have gone 2-0 up, but ultimately they didn't take their chances, and at Anfield you have to take them, otherwise you'll be punished. Yeah, unfortunately, my Premier League team is Arsenal. I am kind of cursed for life, but you've got to stick with your team, of course. Forest is the real deal. Nuno is doing great. Look, they've been really impressive this season, even as early as Game Week 4. When I was asked about, who's the team that surprised you the most, I highlighted Nottingham Forest. But I'll be quite honest, I think they will drop down with their upcoming fixture run. They'll still be quite high up in the table. They might compete for a European spot. But yeah, in terms of what they're doing right now, I think there will be a drop-off. And the same goes for Chris Wood, who I do own. 25 points, 4 left to play. Yeah, not a great score, but not the worst. Quite close to a green arrow. You'd be surprised by how many points you'd probably need to secure that. Singh says Palmer, Solanke, Rodgers and Mbuma to go. Can't wait for another red arrow. Yeah, it's not good. It's not a great feeling to have red arrows, but it's not the end of the world, and we still got a few games tomorrow. Those 4 players could make the difference. You never know. ¿Tienes pensado hacer contenido FPL en español? No hay casi creadores. Keep going. Thank you very much. Te digo la verdad, no creo que lo voy a hacer. Lo pensé, pero te digo la verdad, mi inglés es mucho mejor que mi español. Pero no me molesta responder en español de vez en cuando en los streams y también en los videos también. Pero gracias por la pregunta. Sorry, my bad. I thought you were Spanish. I have a soft spot for Argentina. My club Spurs have always had a strong and historic connection with your beautiful country. Good luck for the season. Likewise, Lord Oshi, but you probably just heard there that I'm an Arsenal supporter, so you probably have some love-hatred there, but I do appreciate it, and I am aware of that Spurs-Argentine connection, although I do hope Arsenal actually buy some Argentines for once, but I don't think that's going to happen. Lots of swings this year, but it's fun because it's such a challenge. Yeah, I do like the challenge in it. I just don't like always doing badly, and that's been the case since Game Week 4, basically. What is your team name? I never knew. La Scaloneta, which is just a reference to the Argentine manager, Lionel Scaloni, who has been the best international manager in recent years. I mean, what he's done is extraordinary. Salah definitely been the more consistent so far. Yeah, but as early as Game Week 5, we all saw how good Haaland was, and it seemed like no contest, really. Now it's a different story. I think Haaland will claw it back eventually, but yeah, Salah and Palmer have been by far the best. Really disappointed with the 5th consecutive blank from double Arsenal defence. Same here, mate. And what makes it worse is when it's your own club involved. It's a double whammy. I mean, I'd always take Arsenal winning than FPL points, but the fact they were both crap is just even crapper for me. I captained Salah this week, but will obviously captain Haaland this week. Yeah, look, I'll be honest with Salah. If I had him, I would have captained him, but I don't have him, so it's really irrelevant. I am looking to buy him in Game Week 11, and I'll discuss what I'm going to do. It either requires selling Solanke or Haaland to make it possible. It doesn't really make sense to sell Solanke at home to Ipswich Town, to keep him, throughout the last few blanks and non-existent performances in front of goal. Yeah, you don't sell him now against Ipswich Town. So you probably have a good idea of what I want to do to buy Salah, and I'll make that clear in my team selection because I don't want to think too emotionally or have too much of a raw reaction. I want to give it some logical thought because I might find a different alternative to get out of this rut, which I'm currently in. Kind of hoping Smith Rowe doesn't play as I have Semenyo on the bench. Sorry to disappoint you, mate, but that ain't going to happen. Kadioglu, right wing / right mid, listed as defender. Well, definitely one to look at between Game Weeks 12 onwards. He almost doubled Brighton's lead as well. He got into some great positions. Kind of reminds you of 8 Nuri, but on the other flank. Kadioglu definitely a decent shout there, but yeah, Game Week 12, you definitely don't buy him now against Man City, but you're right to kind of highlight him there. Let's actually put a bit of fun here in the share how you'll celebrate kind of message. You'll see it when it happens. Okay. So, let's get back into your questions. I do recognize I'm very far behind, so I do apologize. Gavardio, my only City all year. Just can't justify any more the way they're playing. Yeah, he's been incredible. You know, he's not getting clean sheets, but he is getting those attacking returns very consistently now. So I think Goldhead earlier was right in the deadline stream. Would you be going for a triple up on Brighton if you wildcarded in 12? Because I'm fairly sure I do. Joao Pedro / Welbeck, Matoma, and Dunk / Verbruggen. Yeah, also Kadioglu, as someone mentioned earlier, a bit more exciting, but less nailed on. I'll be quite honest with you. I would probably double up. I'm a bit kind of skeptical now of tripling up on certain teams. Look what happened with Arsenal for those that wildcarded in Game Week 6. But I'd go for Welbeck. Joao Pedro has the bonus points potential and a high ceiling, but Welbeck's been so consistent this season. The assist, you know, in Game Week 10 was quite fortunate, but very, very consistent this season. I'd go for him. Probably one of Dunk or Verbruggen. And I think that's probably it for me. But Matoma, decent shout. I'd actually prefer Rotter, though. Jorginho Rotter, who had a big chance today, should have buried it. Obviously, Keller made a great save. I'd go for him instead of Matoma. He's also cheaper, which makes things even better. Thank you, Mackenzie, for the super chat. Massively appreciated, mate. I think you sent one earlier as well, so bless up as always. What a disaster. Yeah, you're not the only one, mate. So think of this as a therapy session. There will be some people out there with great scores, but of course, you've got to be happy for them and try to learn if you can learn anything from FPL. Yeah, like I just said, Easy99 is La Scaloneta. It's a reference to the Argentine national team manager. Will he play over Minter and Adingra every week? Is this in reference to Kadioglu, right? Because he did play a more offensive role today. If that's the case, no, not necessarily. As for Rotter, he's kind of competing with Joao Pedro, so that could be an issue once the Brazilian can start matches. When you mentioned Argentina, I realised the similarity between you and McAllister. Yeah, I was actually stopped in the street once and, you know, I had Argentina trousers on and they said, you look like McAllister. Yeah, so don't worry, not the first person. I think Cunha gets 2 bonus points. It would be deserved, to be honest. He created 4 key passes, 3 big chances. Very, very good performance by him. Can you make a wildcard for Game Week 11? Yes, but I'll be honest, I'll probably save that for a best wildcard team video, which is inevitable. I pretty much upload them every single week. Right now, it would be very raw. Maybe towards the end, I'll try to create a kind of rough one, but it's going to be rough. I don't think it'll be great. A great week so far, 54 points in Bumo, Son, Palmer and Fleck into play. Speak for yourself, but congratulations, that's a great score. And, I mean, the green arrow is obviously secured by that stage. Anyone considered essential for you? No. No. I said this even when Haaland was scoring hat-tricks every week. No one is essential, not even Salah. You can do well without him, but he looks the closest to that bracket right now alongside Cole Palmer. I'd definitely say having one of Palmer or Salah looks essential, but I wouldn't necessarily... I don't like using that term, to be quite honest with you. No worries, Philip. Like I said, I'll try to do one later, but I think if I have a bit more time to think about it, I'll come up with something good. Do you know what the bonus points is from Ipswich and Leicester? Surely Davis is involved, but of course these could change by the end of the game week, so take this with a pinch of salt. On 3 bonus points is Morsey, on 2 Davis, and Jordan Ayew with 1. Those are the bonus points. You probably won't see that change too much, but don't put it past FPL headquarters for doing something quite stupid. No offense to them. Raya 3 pointer, I'll take that, considering how terrible he's been. Yeah, I was actually quite surprised when he got 3 points, but that's terrible. When you've got a 5.6 million goalkeeper and you're happy with 3 points, it goes to show how poor he's been recently. I actually wouldn't mind taking like a sacrifice a hit by selling my Arsenal players and they start getting clean sheets, but it means they actually do their job for once. Best replacement for DCL? Still Cunha or Wissa for me. I do like Strand Larsen. I do. The same goes for Delap, Raul Jimenez. They're all on radar. Danny Welbeck from Game Week 12 onwards would be one of my favourites. I think the way I'd rank it would be Cunha first, Welbeck second, and Wissa third. Madueke and Haaland out for Cunha, Wissa, and Palmer in Game Week 12. Good plans. I think that's pretty solid, actually. I'd go for Cunha over Wissa, though. because of the fixtures long term. Wolves are top of the FDR, and a bit of a segue here. Let's actually check it out now. So until Game Week 16, Wolves are top. This also carries on if you go to Game Week 18 or 20. Bournemouth are now second. Arsenal, Ipswich Town and Spurs are in the top 5. If we look at the bottom teams, Nottingham Forest, just saying, they are in the bottom. Maybe we'll see a downturn in form. Fulham, Everton, Liverpool and Southampton all in the bottom 5 there. As for predicted points, Salah is top yet again, so there is a shift now in terms of the outstanding FPL asset. Haaland is second though. Saka, Palmer, and if we can get 5th, that'd be great. Son are in the top 5. I'd put Son way higher. I'd actually put him first, if I'm being honest. The combination of the fixture, also the player's form in home matches. I'd say Son is my favourite captaincy option this week. If I was taking a pun, I'd buy him for 1 week and then possibly sell to Salah, but I'm not sure I'll be that clever because, yeah, it's just not been the best of seasons. Your confidence is dented when that happens. Solanke, Cunha, Mbeumo, Isak and Wissa are all in the top 10. If we check potential price changes, there are some differences to what I showed you earlier in the deadline stream. Rico Lewis, Kanate, Antonio, Jorginho Rota, Vandenberg and Bowen could go up in price tonight, but bear in mind, Kanate was subbed off at half-time for Joe Gomez with an injury. We'll wait and see how serious that is, so we could see a stagnation in that price change and Kanate will not go up in price. The likes of Dunk, Manice, Semenyo, Heung-min Son, Calvert-Lewin, Robertson, White, Odegaard, Haaland, Turner, Livramento, Doku, Stewart, Neto, Greaves, Madueke, Watkins, Konsa, Kanji, Van der Ven, and Calafiori could all go down in price tonight. And a few of those are in my bloody team, so that's absolutely great. Let's go to Drafthound, and their top 10 over the next 3 game weeks include Salah. They have been pushing him for quite some time, to be fair. Haaland, Palmer, Son, Saka, Diaz, Gvardiol, Foden, Maddison, and Jackson is an interesting top 10. I think the only ones I kind of disagree with would be Diaz and Maddison, but if Diaz gets the minutes, he will get some attacking contributions, that's for sure. Check out Drafthound. There is a link in the description below. It's a great resource that I've been using for over a year now, and it's never failed me. And sometimes they give me a suggestion and I don't do it, and I end up saying, why did I not just do what Drafthound said? Because I'm a bad FPL manager. That's probably why. Let's go to the stats section, which will be looking at the top 100k captains. Haaland only just above Salah, and we will see a swing going into Game Week 11, and Salah will undoubtedly be the top captaincy option in the weeks coming up. Also in Game Week 12, I think, very, very clear. And then we've got that matchup between Man City and Liverpool at Anfield, and I think Salah with the home advantage would still come up on top. But we'll wait and see. Football is a funny game. Don't discount Haaland completely. He missed a glorious chance today. I don't know how he didn't score. He looked like a daddy long legs trying to get that. I'm not sure what happened there. Hit the post. There was just absolute chaos towards the end, and ultimately City couldn't get that equaliser against Bournemouth. Let's now go to fpl.team to give you a sneak preview of my setup in Game Week 11. And as you can see, I've got 3 transfers. Surely I'm going to use one because my team is bloody awful. So yeah, that is the plan, to get some transfers in, buy Mohamed Salah. I was close to doing it this week, but in the end I decided to roll because I wasn't entirely sure about my avenue and I wanted a clearer picture going into Game Week 11. And to be honest, with more transfers, I've got even more indecision and overthinking, so maybe not the best to not take immediate action. An FPL challenge, maybe you're interested in that. I made one late change to what I discussed earlier. I bought in Saka. He got 12 points. He wins a lot of fouls, but ultimately no goals or assists. As expected, I always thought that would be a low-scoring game. I said 1-0. I just went for the wrong team to win that game by that scoreline. Edison blanked. They made quite a lot of saves, actually. He was quite good for City. Trent got 6 points. Salah, as my captain here, got 30. And Haaland blanked. Once again, of course, he didn't do anything on the foul front either. So that is pretty much it. Let's go back to my team. And I think that answers a lot of your questions as well. Welbeck minutes when Joao Pedro comes back. I don't see that as a big issue. I think Welbeck competes with Ferguson. Joao Pedro competes with Jorginho Rota. So I think that's the way I kind of look at it. You're kind of right to raise that point, but I think Welbeck continues to start. Thank you, Chris Asso. 1 free transfer. Remove DCL or Delap, and for who? I'd remove DCL at this stage. Everton's fixtures turn for the worse fairly soon. And with Delap, I know he's been frustrating recently, but I just think he's more clinical than Dominic Calvert-Lewin at this moment in time. So I'd sell DCL, and with 0 in the bank, it's quite difficult. I believe you could go to Wissa, but I might be mistaken about that. It depends on your selling price with Dominic Calvert-Lewin. If you can't go to Wissa, I'd highly recommend a Jimenez or Strand Larsen. Now, another possibility would be to take a -4 hit, go for Acuna if you want to kind of stretch out to a more expensive forward, but it would require downgrade elsewhere. So let me know, kind of what you're thinking. Would you be open to making another downgrade to buy Acuna? If not, I'd probably keep it simple and buy Strand Larsen or Wissa. Tsimikas and Joe Gomez were amazing today. Yeah, I think at half-time when Liverpool were 1-0 down, people were saying, oh, Tsimikas was terrible and all that. Sometimes football fans are reactionary. I myself can be like that sometimes. But he had a great performance. He created, I think, 2 big chances as well. And Joe Gomez was so close to scoring his first ever goal. Is Trent and Marcel? No, I don't think so. And I think if you're looking to sell Haaland, you'll find yourself wanting to spread the funds, and Trent at the back looks really promising. Once Alisson returns and Liverpool's fixtures turn for the better, I certainly wouldn't want to sell Trent. Yeah, I agree, LFC. Double Arsenal defence isn't good, at least for the moment. I think it will change. There was this period last season. Essentially, they came really good in January. In January or February, they went on that massive run, scored so many goals, kept clean sheets. It might take a while for Arsenal to get going, but in terms of the title prospects, it's probably a little bit too late for that, to be quite honest with you. I don't think so, Bruce. I think Inter Milan will win that game, and I thought that before what we saw today, which was an absolute show. So yeah, I personally think Inter Milan will win that, probably 1 or 2-0. But Odegaard is back very soon. I think that's a massive boost for Arsenal. Unfortunately, if we're being honest, the Gunners they really struggle to kind of manage without certain key players. They can do it for 3-4 games maybe, but if it's any more than that, they can't do what City do and still maintain a very high level. I think when Arsenal are poor, they're really poor, and we saw that today. Delap hasn't been starting. He didn't in Game Week 9, of course. He did start today, though, and of course was subbed out a bit early. But I still like him as an FPL option. I'd rather go for him instead of Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but that's not saying much, is it? What are your thoughts on Tsimikas? Definitely very intriguing at this moment in time. I still think there'll be rotation with Robertson, and that's why I like to avoid Gakpo and Diaz. I don't like these sort of 50-50 battles. I think Tsimikas might be the first choice now, but I'd rather go for Konate when fit. Van Dijk is the highest scoring defender in the game. Maybe he's definitely one to, maybe go for. And of course, Trent is still, for me, the best defender overall. Let's see if he can finally get those goal contributions. Strand Larsen or Wissa? Very close one. I do prefer Wissa. I'm going to say him. I think he's got the bonus points. He's a talismanic figure for Brentford. But Strand Larsen has better fixtures. There's no denying that. Around Game Week 15, Brentford have a poor fixture swing, which I don't like. I'm going to stick with Wissa, though, because what I've seen over the last year, I'm really like Wissa. Even 2-3 years ago, when he was a substitute mainly, he always came on and made an impact. I always liked the look of him, so I'd say Wissa. Would you have any United on Game Week 12 wildcard? I currently have Garnacho, but he has a good fixture when I'm planning on using the wildcard. Yeah, I think Garnacho would still be on my wildcard thoughts. Maybe a Mazraoui or a Nana. I certainly wouldn't triple up on United, though. I think 1 or 2 is enough. Maybe we'll see a massive, boost when Ruben Amorim comes in around Game Week 12. Yeah, I think so. You don't need to get rid of all of them. I'll stand by what I said in the previous streams. So if you've got a double up, trim it down to 1. You don't need to sell both. I think they will come good, especially when the fixtures turn in Game Week 12. And ultimately, Arsenal are still a good defence. In certain games, I think they've been unlucky with certain circumstances. But against Bournemouth and Newcastle, they deserve to lose both games. They were absolutely poor, but I think they will come good. Of course, it might be late for title stuff and whatever. Arsenal can't really think about that right now. They've got to take it by a week basis. Chelsea away next. They can still get the win there, but it's going to be very difficult. I think selling 1 is probably enough. Do you think Forest are contenders for Europe this season? Definitely, but maybe Europa Conference League and Europa League. I don't think they'll compete for Champions League. And you look at the upcoming fixtures, as discussed a few minutes ago. They are bottom of the fixture difficulty rating. I know football isn't played on paper. They can go to the Emirates and the Etihad and get something based on current form. But I personally think there will be a regression. If you had to ask me right now, where do you think they'll finish? I think 8th. That's my current prediction for them. But they've been really impressive, and I do like the look of them. Inter versus Arsenal. Inter, like I just said, I think they'll win 1 or 2-0. But I think Arsenal will eventually bounce back and get things right. But the midfield balance isn't there. And I also think Arteta made an absolute mare with his team selection. Of course, I knew he was going to play that starting 11 against Newcastle. You'd still expect that to score goals, create chances, but they didn't. And it's quite clear that Trossard has to be dropped. But let's see if that happens. Who's the best Brighton defender, not goalkeeper when the fixtures are good? Kadioglu would be the exciting pick. I think the ever-reliable Lewis Dunk when he's available would be my favourite, but apart from him, I'd probably look at Kadioglu, yeah. I got rid of Haaland a couple of minutes ago. I can't stand keeping him anymore. Mate, I was so close to pulling the trigger, 1 or 2 hours ago, but I said no. Let me wait for the Wolves game to finish because I might buy Nuri. I don't want to see him suspended and stuff like that. Trust me, I'm in the same boat as you. When Chelsea's fixtures run starts, is Reece James a potential differential? Well, look, if James can stay fit, you know, you could be onto something. There's no denying it. But the problem with him is we see the track record. Every couple of games he gets injured, and for a long period of time. It's unfortunate. He's a quality player. He has so much to offer going forward. I'd wait, though. I'd seriously wait. I know you're saying when their fixtures turn, which would be Game Week 12. If he stays fit by then, maybe entertain it. But I'm saying like a very minute chance of kind of considering it and actually making the transfer. I'd personally go safer. And if you want to cover Chelsea defensively, Robert Sanchez in goal is probably enough. And ultimately, I think it's the attackers that really catch the eye. Cole Palmer goes without saying. Then Nicholas Jackson up front. Whistle or Jackson? I'd go for Jackson. I mean, Bournemouth got 5 points from City, Arsenal, Villa. Credit to them. You know, they deserved those points, certainly against City and Arsenal. They had 6 big chances today, I believe. So, yeah, very impressive stuff by them. But yeah, I mean, football's a funny game, isn't it? It really is. Havertz was running around like a headless chicken. I don't really blame him, though, to be honest, mate. I blame Arteta. You know, Arsenal played their best football last season with Havertz up top, you know, Trossard as, you know, kind of the left wing. Sometimes he played false nine, to be fair. But what's happening right now just isn't working. You know, it might have, you know, got the result against Tottenham, you know, and maybe in certain games this season. But I think it's very evident in the last 2-3 games that something needs to change. And whilst Odegaard is out, you need somebody like Nwaneri of that profile to open space up with those quick turns and those incisive passes. You don't have that in the Arsenal midfield right now. Haaland to Cunha, Gabriel to Nuri, and then get Palmer for Rodgers, Smith Rowe the week after. My personal preference would be to sell Smith Rowe and keep Rodgers, but I understand why you'd probably consider that as a 50-50 call. Good transfers though. John Rice says, I'm on Wildcard 12, sell Eze to Garnacho or start Rodgers or Aina. I would go for Garnacho. I think it's really worth it. The high ceiling against Leicester is certainly there. They beat them just a couple of days ago, 5-2. I don't think it'll be the same scoreline, but United will get chances in that game. Keep McNeil or Semenyo? Difficult one to say. Semenyo's fixtures are now good for the next couple. I think that's a very difficult one. I still like McNeil. I'll probably lean towards him, but I'm more keen on Semenyo now, of course, with that 10 points against City, which is very impressive. So maybe I was wrong about him. Thoughts on Dalot? I mentioned this earlier with United. If you want to go for their assets, I think Garnacho in the midfield and then one of Annan or Mazraoui. But Dalot is certainly fine. If you've got the funds, which you might do if you sell Haaland, I think that's a reasonable idea. I don't know, with Dalot, I think his attacking contributions are a bit overstated. If you look at his records in terms of goals and assists, not really impressive. But when he does get something, like a clean sheet or a goal, he is very likely going to get bonus points. That's the best thing about him. Isak or Jackson? I'll stick with Jackson right now, but Isak, really good header today and some good hold-up play for Newcastle. He's one of the best strikers in the league. For me, he's probably second or third behind Erling Haaland. So, yeah, he's a very good player. I think he's definitely on radar, but I would go for Jackson. Is it stupid to sell Haaland for Jackson for double Chelsea attack against Arsenal? Well, based on recent form, I don't think it's stupid, to be quite honest with you. But I do think Haaland outscores Jackson in Game Week 11, dare I say. When do you think Odegaard's back? Within the next week or so. I think he'll actually be in the squad against Inter Milan. Will he start against Chelsea? Maybe not, but there is a chance, and hopefully he does. I think he's been training for some time now. It's just a matter of having no risk of aggravating the injury. That's the last thing Arsenal need. I think they're very dependent on their key players, and one of their weaknesses is being unable to, you know, adapt or at least create chances without Saka and Odegaard in the team. Average points is 22 at the moment. Yeah, fair enough. I think my prediction was 25, so yeah, a bit lower than I thought. Since Amorim always plays 3-4-3, I'm curious to see where Bruno will play because he doesn't really accommodate a cam in his system. Yeah, but I think Amorim will adapt. Look, I'm not saying I know this for sure. He might be correct and they go for a 3-4-3. Maybe Bruno plays as a right winger who kind of drifts into the centre. But I think they'll go for a 4-2-3-1 with Mainu and Ugarte in holding midfield, Bruno Fernandes, and then of course Garnacho Rashford possibly on the right or Amad Diallo, and then Haaland up front. I think that will be the starting 11, especially with Euro not fully fit yet, of course. He's still recovering from that injury. Callum Jr. says, gone for Bruno this week. First time I've had a United player. As a poor fan, hurts for me to say. I think they'll start getting results. Good fixtures coming up. Chelsea at home has goals. I understand that, of course. Rivalries are still a big thing. But you're top of the league, mate. Enjoy it. Who cares about United? They're struggling in like 14th. But I get your point. I think Bruno is a good transfer in. And Garnacho, of course, I've been really high on him in the last couple of weeks. He is my preference. But I think Fernandes is definitely a shout. Is Cunha with the extra 1 million over Strand Larsen? I still think the same. So yes, would be my answer. I like Strand Larsen. He'll get goals. But Cunha has the combination of goals, assists, and bonus points. That's what I like most about him. I believe after today, he has gotten a 7-pointer, despite only getting 1 assist. So Cunha will be my answer. Should I sell Haaland and replace him with Wood? I wouldn't buy Chris Wood right now. I know it might seem crazy because he's scoring every single game, it seems. And for Gameweek 13, he is a great captaincy shout against Ipswich Town when Liverpool and City play each other. So definitely not the worst transfer you can make. He's been fantastic for me this season. But if I'm buying a striker at this moment in time, it'd be Cunha, Wissa, and probably Welbeck in Gameweek 12. What about Joel Veltman? Most points of any Brighton defender and has played 90 in all but 2 games where he played 70. Another good shout, to be fair. You might be right. I think Brighton are certainly worth looking at. Once Dunk is back, I think they'll get a few more clean sheets, especially in that run between Gameweeks 12 to 18. But I think Dunk is still my preference. I think he's got more goal threat and he can get bonus points too. Although admittedly, you are right to highlight Veltman. Sells great goalkeeper change for me, even though Nottingham have City, United, Spurs and Arsenal. But we see what happens to big teams' result lately. They can be beaten and awful. Yeah, I do think once De Bruyne is in the starting 11, I think City will improve. They'll create a lot of chances. And I could see them getting 2-3 goals against Forest, if I'm being honest with you. And I do think Sells won't keep many clean sheets in those games he mentioned. But football isn't played on paper. I could be completely wrong about it. But I look at those 4 games and I just don't see a clean sheet. I've had 50-50 decisions go against me in the past, but the DCL Wood one definitely feels like the worst. Yeah, look, I've owned Chris Wood all season, and that's one of the few things I've gone right, but you need luck sometimes. I mean, back then when I first started my team going into the season, one of the common narratives was Chris Wood is going to be replaced, Forest are looking for a striker, there's Awani, blah, blah, blah. And in the end, he's starting every single game and getting so many goals. Sometimes you need a bit of luck and resolution with decisions, but I think those that went for Calvert-Lewin have been very unfortunate. Trent would have got an assist today if Van Dijk finished across from Trent on the volley. Yeah, I think Trent has been very unfortunate with assists this season. Jota's robbed a few of them against Bournemouth, and I think back in the Crystal Palace game, I think there was another occasion. There's many times where I think Jota's really robbed him. I think Trent's been very unlucky. Definitely Liverpool defender right now, but long term, I think you could maybe strive for both, especially if you go without Haaland and spread the funds around. But if I'm picking one right now, it would be Liverpool, and I'd still go for Trent or Van Dijk. Should I give Haaland a second chance or just get rid of? I think he'll do well against Brighton and Tottenham. I think profile-wise, the fixtures suit him, but I'm just kind of sick of a 15.4 million forward that I'm relying on every single week. I'm captaining it, and he's just not doing the business. Even when I was doing well, and I triple captain Haaland and all that jazz early in the season, one of my main criticisms on my team was I'm so dependent on Haaland. If he doesn't do well, I feel like I'm not going to do well, and that's happened now ever since Game Week 5. Did Tsimikas become number 1 for Liverpool over Robertson now? I believe so. Robertson obviously had a poor performance against Arsenal last week, although very tough opposition in Saka. And I just think with him starting in the Carabao Cup, that was very telling, and we all kind of got that feeling that Tsimikas would get the nod in Game Week 11, which he did. So it's not a clear cut, like Tsimikas is going to start every single week, but currently he is first choice. Sehul says many sources are saying he'll stick to 3-4-3, but we don't know how he'll sort the lineup. That'll be interesting if that turns out to be the case. Once Yoro is available, you'd probably see a back three of Lisandro Martinez, Yoro, and De Ligt. Then Mazraoui could be a fullback. I saw one predicted lineup with Garnacho left wing back. I'm not so sure about it. It could suit him, but it does seem a bit excessive. And ultimately, you can't fit all your best players in with that sort of structure. Best forward to buy this week long term, Cunha still, and he did very well today. Trust me, I'm a Benfica fan. I watch Sporting regularly. I highly doubt he drops his preferred formation. Yeah, of course. I know you, Diogo. You're a Portuguese fan. obviously watched a lot of videos, so I know that. So yeah, I just personally think, without knowing too much, I've only seen Ruben Amorim a little bit, when Sporting played Arsenal, for example, and a few bits here and there in Europa League and Champions League. I just think he would maybe change to a 4-2-3-1, but it looks like reliable sources are indicating he'll stick with a 3-4-3, so you might be right, to be honest. Whilst Forest defence so underrated by experts YouTubers this season, not claiming to be an expert, just I've never said that ever. But Forest, fair enough. I think when we started this season, I remember saying I wouldn't go for sells, and I was wrong about it. I hold my hands up. One of the key reasons why was because of the fixtures. I didn't like them too much, and in fixtures like Liverpool away, who would have thought Forest would keep a clean sheet there? They've been very surprising, great underlying stats as well. I do think they will regress though. I'm not saying you should sell Iron and Milenkovic or go without Forest, at all, but I wouldn't be looking to actively buy them right now necessarily. Yeah, Trent's been unlucky. Yeah, a lot of pre-assist, that's one, way of putting it, but also clear-cut chances he's providing and the others aren't finishing them as well. Yeah, we'll maybe do well against Brighton and Spurs, but we've been saying the same for the past few weeks now. That's the point. Haaland could score 2-3 goals in that time frame, but ultimately it doesn't really matter to me because I think buying Salah is the right course of action, and I've been saying this for 1 or 2 weeks at least, and I probably should have seen it sooner. Tsimikas messed up a bit today. Yeah, defensively he's not great, but he offers a bit going forward, and he did create 2 big chances, which is impressive from his position. If Konate's injured, who would start in his place? Either Joe Gomez or Quansah, but I do think it'd be Joe Gomez at this moment in time. I already have Cunha and Wood. In that case, I'd probably look at Jackson. You can go for free budget forwards, but I don't think it's the best structurally to, just cheap out completely in the forward line. I think you'd try to go for a mid-price forward at least, and either Jackson or Watkins would do the business. Yeah, so far this season, I think Gavardio and Van Dijk have been the best. Then you're looking at Trent, of course, and Gabriel. Probably in that order. Yeah, I think you're right to kind of highlight Gavardio. He's been incredible recently. Iron's definitely a great pick. Yeah, of course. I like him for bonus points. He won't get many goals this season. I think he'll probably get one more, throughout the entire season. But it was a great goal he did today. And he can get the odd assist as well. When is the best exit point for Foden? Probably Game Week 12. I mean, if you're looking at it ideally, it's probably Game Week 13 against Liverpool. But who do you replace him with? Depends who you have already. But for me personally, it would be Saka. And I could actually buy Saka and also Salah by selling Erling Haaland. So I'll talk about that in the team selection, of course. Vardy and Van der Ven to Cunha and Dalot worth a -4 hit. Yes. Now, the only issue with that is, of course, Spurs are playing Ipswich Town, but Van der Ven, of course, is an injury doubt. But yeah, overall, it's worth it. Terry says, between Gabriel and Trent, who should I sell? Right now, I'd rather sell Gabriel. Now, Liverpool have tough fixtures. They are bottom or near the bottom of the FDR over the next 6 game weeks, whilst Arsenal in the top 5. After Chelsea away, Arsenal have a good run on paper, but they do have Forest in Game Week 12, which won't be easy. But I'd rather keep Trent right now. Sky Sports saying Liverpool scouting in Mbumo. Semenyo happy but sad at the same time, as it means Salah leaving soon. Well, yeah, I mean, Salah, look, who knows? People keep saying he's going to leave and he stays. I think the rival fans, they're kind of hoping he does leave, but a Premier League legend, of course. There is the possibility, though, that one of them could be kind of a utility player playing on both wings and sometimes up front if needed. So who knows? Maybe Salah stays for a little bit longer, especially if Liverpool compete on all fronts this season. I think Liverpool do well in the Champions League. And look, they have a chance at the title. I personally still favour City, but who knows, mate? Planning to do Cunha last and transfer today. Good idea, or wait till the next deadline? I'd wait a little bit if possible. We do have European games in midweek, but if you are going to be priced out, obviously pull the trigger. There's no doubt about it. But if you aren't going to, my advice will be to wait if you can. What's your plans now? I've got 3 transfers available. My plan is to buy Salah, and it has been for a few weeks now. It's just a question of waiting for the right time. For example, buying Foden in Game Week 9 has kind of hindered me a little bit. I lost out on 6 points with that transfer to Saka, and ultimately, it's just been terrible. But I've now got 3 available moves. I could sell Haaland and buy a budget forward like Cunha, and then pretty much upgrade any midfielder that I want. Probably it'd be between Semenyo or Rodgers making way, and I'd buy Salah, and then Aït-Nouri at the back for Jacob Greaves. That looks pretty strong on paper, but Wolves aren't the greatest defensively, and despite the plum fixture against Southampton, I'm not that confident of a clean sheet there, but Aït-Nouri has the attacking potential, of course. Likewise, Alex ND, good luck. I'm going to definitely need it, so I appreciate the good luck wishes. What's happened to Haaland? I wouldn't say he's been exposed. He's still got 11 goals in 10 games. It's just poor form. You know, he's missing some big chances. He missed 2 against Southampton, probably 3, to be honest. He missed another one today. Yeah, I think it's just bad form. Johnson's a Garnacho next game week. What do you think? I love it. Honestly, I really do. The only issue I have with that is Johnson plays Ipswich, so could you maybe keep Johnson for this week and buy Garnacho for somebody else? Then you can always switch Johnson to another midfielder entirely, but yeah, Garnacho, I love that transfer in, but I would recommend selling Johnson in game week 12 or 13 instead. Nice one, FPL Gameweek, great rank rise. Dr. Walid, says, should I buy Semenyo now for McNeil? Not necessarily. Brentford's a good fixture, but I wouldn't be looking to buy Semenyo like that. He's currently in my bust team for Game Week 11, but he could also be sold for Salah, for example. Yeah, I think Fabianski starts. He made some great saves today. Let's not forget West Ham went down to 10 men, and Fabianski can be suspect sometimes, but he made 2 brilliant saves today. Best 4.5 million defender from Game Week 12, best under 5 million goalkeeper from Game Week 12. Probably Robert Sanchez, and best 4.5 million defender. Well, 8 Neri is just a little bit above that price threshold, so I can't say him, I guess. I'm going to have to think about the 4.5 million defender one, because we're talking about a few game weeks time from now. But if I can quickly, you know, get the gears of my brain working, if I do have a brain. Let's see. Okay, I think as a cheap defender, I know it sounds crazy, but I would consider somebody like Joachim Andersen at a cheap price point. Fulham are actually really high up on the FDR between game weeks 12 to 20, so a very long time. If not, you might be considering an Aston Villa defender like Luca Dean. But I do believe Luca Dean is 4.6, is he? 4.7. Yeah, not a big fan of Joachim Andersen as my top suggestion there, to be quite honest with you. Tsimikas could be a shout, of course, if he's playing regularly for Liverpool. He is 4.6, of course. So, ultimately, at 4.5 and below, I'd probably actually stick with that. I'm going to say Joachim Andersen for now. Let me know what you think. Yeah, look, you got to take it, and my kind of worry has always been, if I sell Haaland, I know he's going to do really well. But, yeah, it's just this kind of FOMO and stuff. It has hindered me this season. And I think those that sold Haaland have done a great thing here. Now, he can score braces and hat-tricks in the near future. It could even be against Tottenham, but we'll wait and see. Well, to be honest, it's a bit harsh to say that because he's been injured all the time, but it's not been a good signing yet. Yeah, Arne Slot is sitting top of the Premier League and doing really well, so he's done a great job. He could go down in price. Based on what Fantasy Football Hub are projecting, it looks like he will. So yeah, as I just mentioned, Lager, my plan at the moment would be to buy Salah, and I think the obvious cash cow would be Erling Haaland, and I could go to any striker I wish. I can upgrade any midfielder to Salah, and also upgrade Greaves, State Nuri, or any defender I want, even Trent, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So I'll give that more thought over the week. I don't want to jump to conclusions, but Salah is definitely coming in at some point, and I'll be captaining him every single week, probably. Yeah, Leif Davis's finish was clean. That was an incredible volley. I didn't even mention that. Really, really well taken. And Morsey with a great pass too. Replacement for Watkins, probably Jackson or Cunha. I still like Watkins, though. Could you play for a Villa Spurs goal fest tomorrow? As long as Spurs lose, then yeah, I don't mind. And if Solanke and Rodgers can get some goals, great. But I hope Watkins blanks. I'm not going to lie to you, mate. That's how bad I'm doing. I'm just kind of wishing for other players I don't own to do badly. It's kind of sad. Hey, Dylan, I ended up benching Mikalenko instead of Aina. Nice one. Fair play. I thought Everton had a better chance of a clean sheet. They did concede very late on, of course. And I think the red card did change things for West Ham. Should I wait for Haaland to play Brighton before dropping? Look, it's certainly viable, I think, either way. You sell Haaland and buy Salah and have Palmer and Saka. Great structure. Probably the best in the next 8 game weeks at least. But yeah, keeping Haaland is still a decent play against Brighton. I think he'll get chances. And I think City beat them 4-0 last season, although different manager, of course. Yeah, Leif Davis is fine. You know, I was thinking about mentioning him as a 4-point fouling defender. I just don't think Ipswich Town get many clean sheets there. Best goal this week so far? I think Leif Davis is my favourite. Just the volley, you know, the kind of curve on it, the great pass too. Well, you have to say Newcastle's goal was really good. You know, the cross by Anthony Gordon. It was a fantastic cross, but I think my favourite is probably Leif Davis. Haaland needs KDB back to supply him. Well, he was on the bench today. So yeah, I think it's just a matter of time before De Bruyne starts, and we could see that in Game Week 11. At this point, conceding a goal from Wood is more concerning than conceding a goal from Haaland. We're almost at that stage, yeah, you're right. A very strange FPL season, to say the least. Chris Wood's the only one who's doing something for me. That's my prediction as well. If I'm not mistaken, I did say 2-2 earlier in my prediction section. Will you try keeping both Haaland and Salah? Let's actually discuss this, since I'm being asked a lot about it, and I do appreciate the questions, and they are definitely worth asking. So let's go to fpl.team and maybe, you know, how would we say, experiment. Let's experiment a little bit. So this is one example of what I could do to get Salah. So I could sell either Rodgers or Semenyo. Let's say, for example, right now I'd sell Semenyo, go to Salah, captain him, and I could also get 8 Nuri for Greaves and then bench probably Mikalenko. But yeah, even that, yeah, my defensive line doesn't look too great, does it? But still, I could make those sort of transfers. Still a double up in the Arsenal defence against Chelsea away. Not looking too good there. Lewis, I think, will start against Brighton, but just don't trust Pep. He's an absolute twat sometimes. 8 Nuri, winless, of course, this season, Wolves. No clean sheets, obviously. But I do think 8 Nuri has a lot to offer with those goals and assists. He's already got 5 goal contributions this season. Very solid midfield, and Foden would become Saka with these transfer plans. So, as you can see, I've got so much money in the bank, and I could do something like this. I could then bench Solanke. I'd definitely I'd definitely captain Salah there, although Palmer would be a nice alternative. I don't think I'd captain Saka against Forest, although he has a good record against them, particularly in home matches. I think that looks fairly decent. I think I'd probably stick with that sort of structure. Of course, I do have a bit of a clash here. Double Arsenal defence against Chris Wood, but you'd hope that somebody gets a return there. Fulham away isn't a great game for Wolves, so 8 Nuri isn't the best one to start. But as you can see, that looks fairly decent, right, as, you know, one kind of transfer plan. The alternative, if I kind of give you something else, let's kind of compare them side by side maybe. So the other one would be, this makes no sense, by the way, to sell Solanke now when he faces Ipswich Town, and then going to, let's say, Cunha, doing Foden to Salah, and I believe, yeah, it'd have to be Gabriel to 8 Nuri. I have exactly, you know, the exact funds for this set of moves as well. Let me know what you prefer in the live chat as well. You know, maybe your thoughts will guide me to success, because my own brain is just leading me to disaster. But my issue with these transfers, you know, of course, you keep Haaland, Salah, Palmer, looks amazing, but I can't get Saka in Game Week 12, who's very consistent. I also have a very weak defence and nothing left over in the bank. So, yeah, I'm kind of limited with this sort of structure. I'd also captain Salah here again, I guess. I will keep Palmer Vice, who cares? We'll talk more about that in the team selection. Then going into Game Week 12, no free transfers essentially, or just one. Not looking too great, but the expected points is higher, 58.8 compared to 54, and that's purely because of Haaland. He's still highly rated by these algorithms, to be fair. If we actually look at Game Week 10, 54, and then for this one it's 57.2. So they really back that kind of Saland. Maybe that's a new kind of bloody merger word that I'm come up with. Haaland and Salah, you know, that's kind of what Drafthound and FPL.team might recommend, but I have to say I'm very tempted by selling Haaland at this point. He'll probably do well against Brighton, by the way, and he'll be a great captaincy choice. But I just think what this opens up in terms of the possibilities, I could also buy Trent in the near future. So look, even after buying Saka, I've got 1.1 million in the bank. I could then do something like this, and I could even buy Trent for a hit against Southampton away if I wanted to for Gabriel. So there's a lot I could do, I think, by selling Haaland. It really opens up the possibilities for me. So I have to say, right now, that's what I'm leaning towards. Haaland, yeah, my head is on Mars. Sell Haaland, I don't think it's a must sell. Let me make that very clear. But I do like what it opens up for a lot of people in terms of diversifying the funds, spreading them into each position, particularly in the midfield. I think that goes a long way. I mean, how many weeks will Salah, Palmer and Saka all blank? Very rarely. Get rid of the robot and join the Salah club. It's just I joined the Salah club in Game Week 4. He was terrible for me, and yeah, I was just too impatient. Yeah, I agree, Bruce. Odegaard is back soon, so I think that will help a lot, but you can't even look in previous games. I could excuse Arsenal a little bit because they had a lot of players missing, especially towards the end of the Liverpool game. But against Newcastle, you're missing one key player in the starting 11, really. Calafiori and Tomiyasu, of course, not ideal to not have them available, but in terms of pure starters week in, week out, it's just Odegaard, and Arsenal need to adapt and find another way. Newcastle were really good off the ball. They deserve credit. They defended very well, and I think Eddie Howe got his tactics spot on, but I do think Arsenal have that creativity problem, which you've highlighted. Considering you roll next week and Haaland scores a hat-trick, what's your plan then? Oh, if I rolled and I captained Haaland and he scored a hat-trick, I'd be happy FPL-wise, but I just don't see that happening, mate. Defense this season is a joke for most teams. Only player worth the money is Gvardiol. You might be right, Yusuf, but early in the season we said that about Gabriel. Things change very quickly. Maybe even Solanke to Isak in Gameweek 12. Yeah, that's definitely a shout. Or Jackson. That's definitely something I'd be looking at. So, yeah, as you can see, selling Haaland opens up so many possibilities for me, so I'm very tempted. He was for the first 5 gameweeks, Jellyfish, but it's a 38-game season, so yeah, what he's done in the last few weeks, he's not even worth 7 million, let alone 15.4. They do play Southampton away, mate, literally just before, so not necessarily. And Villa at home, I mean, Salah scored there last season, Liverpool beat them comprehensively. I think it'll be a bit of a closer game this time round, but Salah will score probably again. I just can't see myself going without him for another week. Gyökeres is in a league of his own. He's a quality striker, but there are some games where he does miss a lot of big chances. And we'll see how he does against City and Arsenal, but I would fancy him to score against the Gunners based on recent form. Yeah, Isak's a good shout. Gordon, of course, I even mentioned him in the deadline stream earlier today. And of course, he came up with a great assist, probably the best assist of the weekend. Yeah, I think Isak is probably the best Newcastle asset. 16 from 7, any good? Yeah, I mean, look, it's not a good score, but things can change very quickly, mate, so don't worry about it too much. I'm also doing terribly, but you just got to stomach it and hope for the best. Zen says I have Palmer, Jackson, Raul, Cunha, Gvardiol, Harwood, Bellis, Aina, Rogers and Bumo, Salah, Sanchez, Virginia, McNeil, Borro, Konate. Any changes you would make? It's a good squad, to be fair. Very good squad. Konate is one to monitor. He might be out. Of course, he was subbed off at half-time. McNeil played today, but very disappointing from Everton. I think that could be a role for Gameweek 11. I'm just wondering how much money you have in the bank and also how many transfers. That's also very telling. If you've got one free transfer, I'd probably recommend rolling. But if you've got 3 or 4, you might be able to make a few moves to really, attack this week as well. For me, the best time to wildcard is probably Gameweek 12 for a lot of people. But from the weeks you're saying, 16 and 18. Basically, all the even numbers, I think, are the best times to wildcard. Gameweek 12, 14, 16 and 18. Hi, Dylan. Can you advise a -4 to transfer out Haaland and Rogers to Salah and Cunha? I basically said no going into Gameweek 10. And it ended up paying off, Cunha's 7 points, I think. Salah's getting 9. But yeah, I think I'd probably say no. I think Haaland will do well against Brighton. I wouldn't do it for a hit if you can. But look, Salah is definitely worth going to. If you want to just take the -4 hit and stomach the pain, I don't blame you, to be honest. How's Isak's injury record? Pretty poor, to be honest. He gets injured a lot for Newcastle. I think in the last season it has been better, but it is still a bit of a cause for concern. How will Sporting do without Anarim? Well, that's a good question. That remains to be seen, and I will probably discuss this in the UCL Fantasy videos. I've got Gyökeres in my own UCL Fantasy squad, but it all depends on their appointment. I don't know who they've got in place, but I think they can get one result against City or Arsenal. See you later, Dylan. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Thanks for the streams today. Likewise, Largo, I appreciate it. And to be honest, the streams it's a bit of therapy for myself because FPL-wise and obviously club-wise, it's not been a good week, but there's more to life than football, I think. Like I literally would have had points in the last and the 9 million to spend and Haaland points in the last 4. Yeah, of course, I get you, Mackenzie, and maybe I've been not brave enough to go without Haaland, but I personally thought he'd do well in the last couple of weeks, and I've just been wrong. Selling Haaland can bring you midfield of Saka, Palmer and Son, Salah, and the cheap forwards are all delivering. Yeah, I do think the cheap forwards will regress slightly, and I'd rather have a mid-price forward regardless, like Jackson and Ollie Watkins, of course, who's technically a premium. So yeah, if we actually continue building upon this non-Haaland team I've kind of got assembled, so just to kind of recap for those that are just tuning in. So in Game Week 11, I could buy Nuri, Salah, and Cunha for Greaves, either Rodgers or Semenyo, and also Erling Haaland. And then in Game Week 12, I can buy Saka. So that is a very strong midfield, actually. Then going into Game Week 13, I could have this sort of structure. Solanke isn't too bad, to be honest, if you look at these fixtures, but I think he would be a sell. Southampton away, I'm not going to keep on holding him just for these kind of great fixtures every 4 or 5 game weeks. I'd probably look to sell him and either go to Jackson or, I mean, I could go to another budget forward, to be fair. But yeah, Isak is definitely a shout, and I have enough money for that, actually. Crystal Palace away, good fixture. Then it's Liverpool at home, but Isak can do the business against the best clubs. Then it's kind of a bit of a mixed fixture on. I think Brentford's good, Leicester and Ipswich really good, but then you've got Aston Villa, United and Spurs. But I'd say long-term Newcastle have good fixtures, so that could be something else I'd entertain. And then I could bench Rodgers there, for example. Captaincy-wise, I'd probably favour Palmer a little bit in this particular game week, but look, we're looking really far ahead. I think Mbeumo's a nice shout against Leicester. And of course, Chris Wood up front. I mean, look how highly rated he is by FPL.team. You know, only just behind Salah, although admittedly a much tougher fixture for Liverpool in Game Week 13. I do have Rico Lewis, by the way, against Liverpool away. I could take a hit to maybe nullify those issues or just start Van den Berg, who has been terrible for me since the Game Week 6 wildcard. But as you can see, I'm very happy with what I could do, the flexibility I get with, you know, no shackles, no Erling Haaland, and just being free from that guy. So yeah, that's kind of an insight into my transfer plans at the moment and what I could do about Salah. I'll talk more about this in the team selection and give it more thought, because I think I could come up with better ideas, or at least have a more logic applied to these decisions to make. And so far, it hasn't been great. I just think the Limitless in general, I said this from the beginning of the season, it's best used between match days 2 and 8, match days 2 and 7. I wouldn't use in match day 8 simply because everybody plays at the same time and you can't make substitutions, and I think that could be to your detriment. Now, admittedly, you do have everyone playing at the same time, so you get the lineups before the deadline, of course, but yeah, match days 2 to 7 is fine, and it all depends on your setup. If you've got a lot of issues this week, or players with bad fixtures like I did in Game Week 3, match day 3, then yeah, you could definitely play this week. I'm not really against it. The thing is, I'm prepared to go without Haaland for the rest of the season. He's simply not worth 15 million. I can get a great team without Haaland. Yeah, and I've said this many times in my streams, I feel too dependent on Haaland to do well, and that's not a good thing, to rely on one player. When he's scoring hat-tricks every week, fine, you know, you're around 200k, it's not too bad, but once, you know, he kind of misfires a little bit, you're in big trouble. So yeah, I think I've been too rigid in my thinking this season. I've been a bit slow. I was looking at buying Salah this week, but even then, probably a bit too late for my liking. May I add Kirkes, but benched him. So glad City scored. Yeah, 2 assists. He was really good today. A very young left-back who's linked to a lot of Premier League clubs. Same goes for Semenyo. Yeah, Bournemouth have some good players, to be honest. Hassan says, is Konate and DCL to 8 near and Cunha for the Southampton game for a -4 worth it? I believe so, especially if Konate is out, but bear in mind, Wolves are winless and they just aren't reliable defensively. You're buying 8 Nuri for the attacking returns, and if you understand that, then I think it's a good hit. Should I keep Son or sell for Saka? Definitely keep Son, 100%. I think Son outscores Saka in Game Week 11, but the best time to make that switch is Game Week 12 or 13. I wouldn't be selling Son this week. Yeah, Kirke is really impressive today, but I won't be recommending him anytime soon. I don't think Bournemouth get many clean sheets this season, and I said this when they kept one against Arsenal. Kirkes has a bit of attacking potential, but not enough for me to be swayed. Why are people preferring Cunha over Strand Larsen? Bonus points, mate. He's actually getting 2 today, despite only getting 1 assist. He's got the creativity numbers, and he can score goals. I think Cunha is the one to go for. Strand Larsen might match him for goals, and he's also 1 million cheaper, but Cunha will get more points. Yeah, look, I think I'll still turn it around, Beardy, but it's just not very promising for the ranks I want to be at. So it's not looking too good at the moment. But I had a similar start last season, and I'm just hoping to better what I did towards the end of the campaign. Sell Semenyo or Smith Rowe to bring Salah? Probably Smith Rowe. I think short-term Fulham have better fixtures over the next 2, but beyond that, Bournemouth are near the top of the FDR, and Semenyo has a lot of shots and he gets chances. Looks like Haaland falling in price tonight. I'm losing 0.1 million of selling value. Tempting. Yeah, mate, you're tempting me just by saying that. I'm really considering making these switches now, but despite having free transfers, I don't want to commit to early moves just yet because there might be something else out there. The bonus points should be out fairly soon even. They might even be out now, in fact. As for my bloody team, if I can actually get this to refresh. What the hell's happened here? Now my team's... I think they don't want me to check my own bloody team. Okay, yeah. FPL want me to basically not see this bloody mess. So yeah, the bonus points have been added. Semenyo 10 points on my bench, as you can see. And in my starting 11, Chris Wood got 1 bonus point. So as you can see, I'm on 21. My rank did go down from 1.3 million to 1.6. A poor start to the game week. It was looking decent before Salah scored and also Mikolenko had the clean sheet, but that was wiped out towards the very end. Yeah, look, Haaland can do well in the next couple of weeks. I'm backing him to score goals against Brighton and Tottenham, but I still think it's probably justified to sell him and spread the funds, if I'm being honest with you. I can't see myself deviating away from that kind of structure, and if not, I'll buy Salah and keep Haaland, but I do find myself being very limited with that sort of structure. Who do you think is the best option at 4.5 million and below goalkeeper? Yeah, I mean, technically Sells is above that price threshold now. I think Verbruggen is a good shout. I'd probably agree with you. Salah Captain Masterclass, come on. Yeah, and I'm gutted about it, to be honest. What's your plan? Yeah, I just covered it now. If you refresh or if you rewind a little bit and use the kind of preview feature on YouTube, especially on your laptop and stuff, you can check out the fpl.team section. But essentially, I'll run through it just a little bit one more time, and I'll talk more about it in the team selection. What I'm leaning towards right now, and it's not set in stone, is to buy Aït-Nouri, Salah, and Cunha for Greaves, one of Rodgers or Semenyo, and Haaland, and that would be for free, since I've got free transfers available. Then in Game Week 12, I can buy Saka and have this midfield 5, and a pretty strong setup overall. Then in Game Week 13, for example, I can buy Jackson or Isak. My preference would be Jackson, but we'll wait and see what happens from now until that deadline. But essentially, I'm very happy with how things would look by this stage. So that's my current plan. If I decide to keep Haaland and also buy Salah, I could do something like this. So buy Aït-Nouri for Gabriel to fund this move. And the same goes for Salah in for Foden and Cunha in for Solanke, who faces Ipswich Town this week. So yeah, my preference at the moment is with the no Haaland team, but I'll discuss this in the team selection later in the week. By the way, the time is already 9 PM UK time. What the hell? I mean, time has definitely flown by. I have 4.9 million and 1 transfer. I'd be tempted to roll Zen, but it's good that you have so much money in the bank. That could be helpful. Manish says, got Haaland, Palmer and Salah in my team, which will haul since De Bruyne is back. Yeah, that's fine. Just be careful about the rest of your setup, but if you're happy with it, that's very good. That's kind of the dream, isn't it, to have those 3, but Haaland isn't paying off right now. That will change. I think De Bruyne will make a massive impact, so you are right to highlight it. Should I drop Trent and Vardy to get Jackson and a 4.5 million? I like Jackson a lot, but I'm still very bullish on Trent. I'd probably say no, especially if you lack squad depth in general. If Watkins scores tomorrow, Haaland is imminently gone. Yeah, look, I still like Watkins. I think for those that have Watkins, you hold. I wouldn't be buying Watkins now, but Game Week 12 is a nice time to do it, if not Game Week 14. I love to sell the fraud, but I got DCL who needs to be yeeted first. That's a great way of summing up. Yeah, I'd definitely be looking at selling DCL first, even though he costs like 10 million less than Haaland, but makes sense. Yeah, of course, Thomas, yeah. Cunha only got 1 bonus point. Yeah, I thought he was on for 2. I think I read a chat earlier that said it. So just to kind of make it clear, and by the way, bonus points can be changed until the end of the game week, so we've still got until Monday for things to kind of swing. So for the Newcastle-Arsenal game, if we look at the bonus points, Isak on 3, Lewis Hall 2, and Livramento 1. I think that's fairly justified. Bournemouth City, Semenyo 3, Evanilson 2, and Kirkes with 1. Between Ipswich Town and Leicester in that 1-1 draw, As mentioned earlier, Morsey with 3, Davis 2, and Jordan Ayew with 1. As for Liverpool Brighton, Gakpo with 3, Salah 2, and Tsimikas with 1. Nottingham Forest West Ham, Aina 3, Hudson-Odoi 2, and Chris with 1. And then between Southampton and Everton, Armstrong 3, Walker-Peters 2, and Ramsdale 1. And finally, Wolves 2, Palace 2. We've got João Gomez with 3, Strand Larsen with 2, and Cunha with 1. I still believe Cunha is the better option long term. I just think he's got the creativity and the bonus points in general over Strand Larsen, but they're both good options. I like the look of both of them, and I wouldn't rule out buying Strand Larsen myself, to be quite honest with you. Okay, that's probably best. So thank you to those that are still tuning in. We've got over 400 people watching. If you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. We're looking to get to 30k subscribers by the end of the year. We'll be making a lot of progress in the next week with UCL Fantasy content headed your way. The best wildcard and limitless teams will be on the channel very soon, so keep your eyes peeled. The team selection on Monday as well for UCL Fantasy, and then all the usual FPL content like the transfer tips, best wildcard team, the team selection where I've got free transfers available, so that'll be an interesting one to watch for sure. And of course, future deadline streams and reaction streams for both FPL and UCL Fantasy. The content is free. I do appreciate those that have supported the channel up until now. Thank you very much. See, have a tough game away at Sporting. Yeah. I still think they'll get the win there. They've been a different beast in the Champions League, but it will be tough. I think long-term, a double up in Arsenal is good. Maybe not defensively, though. I think Saka and one of Gabriel Raya is probably the sweet spot. I wouldn't triple up at this moment in time. Yeah, all the bonus points have been read out now, so let me know what you think, Michael. 40 points for me with Palmer, Rodgers, and Mbeumo still to play. Very, very good. And of course, I know with a 15-pointer, that is legendary. I can't remember the last time I had that sort of thing from a defender, so fair play. I'm hoping I can get one this season, but I wouldn't count on it. Start Raya or Fabianski next week? Good question. It's really come to this. We're comparing a 4 million goalkeeper to one of the most expensive in the game. Bloody hell. I'd still go for Raya. Am I stupid? Probably. I think I'd still go for Raya, but there's no denying that West Ham have the far better fixture. I just think Everton will score. Who's the best DCL replacement? Depends on your price bracket, but Cunha and Wiss are my favourites. Then I'd be looking at Jimenez and Strand Larsen. But yeah, I think any of them would be great. Cunha's my favourite. To be fair though, we all expected Arsenal to score a goal at least. So benching Lewis Hall is not the end of the world. Arteta should be more serious. Dropping points will be deadly at the end of the season. Look, it's already a big mountain to climb. Luckily for Arsenal, City lost, but that only makes me, for example, more pissed off because I think the title was right there for the taking. Liverpool took advantage, fair play to them, but ultimately I think City are the team to beat. You finish above them, I think you win the Premier League. Cunha let down by his teammates today. Yeah, he was really good. Instrumental for the second goal, and obviously got the assist for the first. Very good player. Created 3 big chances and 4 key passes. As I just mentioned, Green, I will do a Limitless and Wildcard team video, but I'll record them tomorrow, most likely, and they'll be released between Sunday and Monday, but just be a bit patient because I'm doing FPL content as well. And also with UCL Fantasy, you know, in previous weeks, for example, I would record one video early in the week, then injuries would happen and circumstances change, and yeah, that's why I've decided to kind of hold out a little bit. If KDB's back soon, which midfield could be dropped? That's a good question. I mean, you could argue Foden, to be quite honest with you, but yeah, I think one of Foden or Bernardo. To be fair, actually, you know what? I'd probably have 2 cents on maybe Gundogan. Yeah, I think Gundogan would kind of scream to me. I know he got the assist today. He's been quite poor this season, though. Wow, I'm happy that Salah didn't get 3 bonus points, but just warning you, Sahil, I'll be buying him. I'm probably captaining him next week, so good luck. Who do you think is the best midfielder under 7 million to buy this week? Garnacho. I'll stick with that answer. Strand Larsen or Wissa in for Haaland? It's close, I agree with you. Wolves have better fixtures, but I'm going to go for Wissa. Bonus points, talismanic figure, and I think he'll get a lot of points in the next few weeks, and even beyond that when their fixtures turn. Other than the wild card, what's the most important chip? Definitely the free hit. Even says I got 48 points, but I'm ranked 8.4 million, and I have Mbeumo and Palmer to play. Am I cooked for a rank? Wait, Yeah, look, it's a poor rank, of course, but it's a good score this week, a very good score. And trust me, things change very quickly. And as long as you're having fun, that's the most important thing. I'd rather be in a poor rank but have fun than be in a really good rank and just having the worst time of my life. Unfortunately for me, I'm having a bad time and doing poorly. So, look, don't think too much about it. You had a great score this week and try to build upon that, and hopefully you can climb up the ranks very soon and win your mini leagues too. Yeah, Salah got 2 bonus points. It was Cody Gakpo got 3. Yeah, I agree, Sahil. But with Pep, you just never know, do you? Haaland under Amorim will cook. Maybe you're right. Maybe. He's still a skip for me, though. But with the next 3 fixtures in mind, he could be a nice free game week punt. Yeah, Welbeck is a great pick. If I'm wildcarding in game week 12, I'd probably go for a front 3 of Cunha, Welbeck, and either Jackson or Watkins. Pep Roulette struck again, though Lewis was 100% going to start. Yeah, once he said that, there were some, alarm bells for some people, but I still thought, surely, if Walker's out, he's not going to play. It turns out Walker's travelled, and once I saw that news in the deadline stream, I don't know, wasn't really feeling it. Pep is a sneaky guy, saying he can't rest Lewis only to bench him. Yeah, but he lost to Bournemouth, so yeah, it just goes to show, right? I got 34 with Flecken, Robinson, Son, Mbeumo, Palmer, and Jimenez left. Not bad. It's a good score, and some decent players left, particularly Palmer and Son. And to be honest, I think Jimenez will do well this week. I have 1 free transfer. Should I replace DCL with Strand Larsen for free or with Cunha for a -4 by downgrading Raya to Sanchez? Says Sydney. I'd probably do the Strand Larsen transfer for free, but I do like Cunha a lot. I do. Sale says I captain and was expecting 20 points. Mate, it's 9 points against Brighton. That's a very good return. And especially considering what Haaland missed, I'd be taking it all day long. Most secure C midfielder is Silva. Yeah, that's a fair point. He can also play multiple positions. He's very versatile. Yeah, probably Gundogan or Foden are the most at risk. Just keep up with deadlines, take no hits, and you'll climb. More people abandon their teams by the end of the season, making a top 1 million finish and better pretty easy. Agreed. And look, I think by this stage of the season, we can't look too much at ranks, but you'd rather do well, of course. Gorkris will cook if he plays for Arsenal. Mate, he'll cook for any club, it seems like. He's scoring the goals for Sporting at will. I think he'll cook Arsenal, if anything, in a few weeks' time. Thoughts on Archer as a cheap rotation option? I mean, if you're looking for a 5 million forward or below, he's probably the best of the lot, but I just rather go for Strand Larsen, Cunha, Wissa. They're not that much more expensive, and the only issue with that sort of kind of approach is that you'll have 8 attackers and you'll have benching headaches, but yeah, I wouldn't go for Archer personally. Yeah, he could turn into our one Gyökeres with Amarin. He has playstyle. I don't think it'll be anywhere near the same level, but he might get, he will get more goals now. I think the big problem with Haaland is the lack of shots he's getting and chances. I think that will change with Amarim. Kanate injury news. I don't know how serious the injury is. I haven't seen any updates by Honest Slot today. I'll see if I can get something now. But I can't guarantee it to you, to be quite honest. So let's see. Yeah, no. I think it was an arm injury, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe Twitter can be helpful here. Is there any? Yeah, no, I haven't seen any updates, so we'll have to wait and see, to be fair. But Kanate is quite injury prone, I've always said this. Greenia says, is it crazy to captain Haaland next week? City scored 4 versus Brighton last time and Haaland should be furious. Yeah, I don't think he played in that game, actually. It was Alvarez who scored. Foden got a brace. I'm hoping for more of the same if I end up keeping him. But it's not crazy to captain Haaland. He's had big chances. He's not taken them. Would you sell Gvardiol or Van Dijk? That's a difficult one. I mean, Gvardiol will get more goal contributions this season, but Liverpool have a better defence, and you could argue their upcoming fixtures, at least, are slightly better. But longer term, I'd argue City have the better run. That's a really difficult position to put me in. I'd rather sell Van Dijk, but he is the highest scoring defender in the game. Nice one. One Aid FC. 54 points with Palmer and Boom and Wissa. Well, yeah, you are cooking. It's a good score in a otherwise low-scoring week, and you've got decent players left. Best budget player this season has been Rodgers. Not sure about that, to be honest. He's been really good, especially performance-wise, but from an FPL perspective, I think he hasn't been the best. Hopefully if KDB comes back, Foden goes back to the wing to replace Nunes. I think Nunes has been good though for City. Even today he wasn't too shabby. Of course, it's not his natural position, but he's been one of City's best players in the last 3 games. My friend is in first this week with 89 somehow. Very good score. I wish I had half of that. -4 Haaland to Wissa and Rodgers to Salah. I'd probably do it, but I'm just a bit apprehensive about selling Haaland for a hit. The same would go the other way around if Salah was blanking and you're asking me about selling Salah for Haaland. I'm a bit unsure. Why is Pedro price locked? Cartel witchcraft. Well, he was red flagged until recently. That's probably why, but yeah, it's better to kind of avoid these kind of discussions about price changes. I do think FPL have an influence sometimes. Van Dijk stepped on his arm. Yeah, that's very unfortunate, of course. I didn't see that incident. Hold Haaland any longer or sell finally. Brighton away won't be any easier than Bournemouth. Seeing they scored against Paul, I don't know if I want to keep him for another week, meaning I won't have Salah versus Villa. Well, Haaland has had big chances, he's just not taken them. And De Bruyne is back. He should be available for that game. He was on the bench against Bournemouth, of course. I personally think Haaland, the way I see it is, he's not like a must-sell, but I just like what you can do by selling him and going for a midfield free of Palmer, Salah, and Saka, not to mention having Mbeumo, whilst also going for a mid-price midfielder like Garnacho, to name one example, going for Trent at the back, and then Watkins or Jackson up front. There's so much you can do with those funds, and that's the key reason why you'd be looking to sell. Chance creation is the biggest problem because he's a clinical finisher. Yeah, I think he's a decent finisher. I do think his positioning can be improved though, and maybe Amorim will work on that with him. But yeah, I do think the chance creation has been poor. Which rivalry did you enjoy the most between coaches? Definitely Ferguson and Arsene Wenger. That's the best managerial battle I've seen recently. Guardiola and Mourinho is also very good, but yeah, I do think the best Premier League rivalry is certainly Arsenal United back in the day, and also Wenger and Ferguson. Nice one, Sahil. Good stuff. Duarte says, it's decided I'll drop Haaland tonight. Should I bring Cunha, Jackson, or Isak? I'd personally go for Cunha. He's the cheapest of the 3. Great fixtures for the next 8. Bonus points potential. Creating a lot of chances. He was incredible today. I'd probably go for Cunha, but to be honest, you can't go wrong with any of them. Would you consider making a double transfer of Haaland and Rodgers to Cunha and Son for -4 in order to captain Son in Gameweek 11? I love that Son captaincy transfer, but you probably will find yourself looking to sell him in Gameweek 12 or 13, especially to Salah. I'd probably say no, but if you're feeling it, don't let me discourage you because, sometimes these hits can be worth it. Yeah, I'm not sure what's happening to Foden, to be fair. I'm still holding out hope for something against Brighton, but it's kind of looking in vain right now. Is Trent worth it over other premium defenders such as Saliba and Gabriel? Yeah, I still think so. The thing is, though, you don't need to go that big at the back. You don't need 2 premiums. I think 1's enough. But yeah, I think Trent over Saliba is probably the play. If not, you downgrade Saliba and then go for premiums in the midfield instead. Yeah, 44 and 5 players is certainly not bad. We know that. I benched Semenyo too, but I suppose it makes sense. Yeah, there was always that possibility. Look, football is a funny game, and I expected Bournemouth to score against City, and Semenyo is arguably their best attacker. But yeah, for him to get 10 points is quite mad. Which United player do you think will do better? Still Garnacho for me, but Fernandes with a Portuguese manager, and also with what he showed against Leicester, don't be surprised if he starts cooking, but I prefer Garnacho. So Onana for Edison for the next 3? No. Oh, okay, the other way around. Even beyond that, I think Onana has something to offer, but I'd only do it for free. I wouldn't do it for a hit. Yeah, Sahil, don't even get me started. But you've got a game tomorrow. You might concede there. And I do think Arsenal will turn things around, and I think they'll start to shore up a little bit. But since Game Week 5, basically, it's been terrible. We saw such a rigid defence in the first 4 game weeks, and then what we've seen since Game Week 6, essentially, has been terrible. I already have Salah, says Sydney. Yeah, fair enough. It's just, once again, if you also want to have Palmer and this sort of structure with Watkins or Jackson up front, maybe Isak, I'd be a bit careful about multiple premiums. Not really, Pratik. I mean, it's a great rivalry points-wise, but I don't really see it as a rivalry. Very respectful, which is fair enough. It's a different sort of competition, but I prefer what you know, the Ferguson and Wenger one, for example. And also Guardiola won the vast majority of the titles, so it was kind of a one-sided contest. Seems like possible fracture or bone bruise on Konate. I didn't know that. Thank you for the update. That isn't good news for Liverpool. Hold Van Dijk before Southampton or bring in Dalot for the long term. Hold Van Dijk. Elika says getting rid of Haaland can give so much variety and quality in any team. It might have to be done. Yes. But once we do it, watch Haaland score a brace or hat-trick, and then Salah starts thinking up the place. It's FPL heritage. You gotta laugh at it. DJ says Raya, Trent, Gabriel, Nuri, Howard Bellis, Mbumo, Foden, Palmer, Rogers, Dibbling, Haaland, Raul, Wissa, wildcard used. What would you recommend? 15 points this week, 0.5 in the bank, 1 free transfer, stick, or... yeah, difficult one. You've got a good team on paper, just a bit unfortunate, I think. I think probably what you're looking to do is get to Salah and Saka. And right now the priority would be Salah, and it might have to be Haaland making way. So what you could do is Haaland to Jackson or Isak or possibly Watkins, and then upgrade. I'm not sure, but you've got 0.5 in the bank. Yeah, you're probably still looking at upgrading Rodgers, right? You couldn't do Dibbling to Salah. I don't think you could. I could understand why you'd be tempted to do Haaland to Cunha. Yeah, maybe Haaland to Cunha and Dibbling to Salah. That looks really promising, but then you'd have to bench one of your attackers. Most likely it'd be Rodgers this week, but I'd do that for a hit, I think. I think Arsenal will come right versus Chelsea next week. I'm not sure about Chelsea, but I think they will come good eventually. Maybe against Forest, but yeah. You have to consider Arsenal playing with 4 centre-backs and 2 CDMs, which has been very underwhelming from Arteta. It's just the balance of the team isn't quite there, isn't it? And it's quite clear that Trossard can't be starting in that position, and Havertz should play up front. Even though Haaland blanked, I don't feel right selling him before DCL. I get that. I think that's a fair assessment. DCL is the bigger priority to sell, but then again, with Haaland, you have so much money that you can easily bench DCL and just forget about him. Would you do Saka to Salah Palmer for next week? Not too sure. I think Saka's a long-term hold, but admittedly, both Salah and Palmer are better FPL assets because of their high ceiling. I think Saka will give you double-digit hauls, but not as often as the other two. Alfred says, I'm wildcarding this week looking to replace Lewis because I can't be bothered dealing with Pep Roulette. Fez, who would you recommend up to 5 million at the back? Still wait near it for me, but Wolves are kind of terrible defensively. You're kind of getting like a Leif Davis with the goals and assist potential, but minimal clean sheets. I do think Wolves will get a clean sheet soon, though, and it might be in Gameweek 11. 42 of Semenyo first bench slot. Need one of Son, Rodgers, Smith Rowe to catch a cold. I mean, Son's the most likely for you, wouldn't it? But I don't think that'll happen. He's going to start against Villa. Better to bring Havertz or Wood or someone else. Got Watkins and Jimenez. I'd rather buy Cunha or Strand Larsen in that case. I don't mind buying Chris Wood still, but I certainly wouldn't be buying Kai Havertz this week. Why did he play Partey at right back when White is fit? Look, I don't know. I honestly don't know. Maybe Ben White isn't fully fit to start games. I think he was left out of the Preston squad in midweek because of a lack of fitness. I think there was load management there. He's basically played through the vast majority of last season with an injury. So they might be careful with him, which makes sense. But yeah, Partey has had a good season, actually. He's been really impressive in the last month, particularly. He should be playing in the midfield, we know that, but Arteta doesn't. Get Garnacho in or Salah, but that means selling Haaland. I'd rather just get Salah. I like Garnacho a lot, though, but yeah, the answer's Salah. Martinelli's not good enough to start on wasteful on the ball. Yeah, he's been poor in the last couple of games, but he did have a good period recently. I think between the Spurs game up until, I'd say, Leicester, he had a good period there. But yeah, Arsenal needed an attacker, not just for Martinelli, but just in general. They needed one quality attacker, maybe even 2. They signed Sterling on loan and don't even give him minutes, which I don't really get. Well, we'll talk about UCL in the UCL fantasy videos and streams. And like I said, there will be videos coming out on Sunday and Monday. The best limitless and wildcard teams, team selection, and of course the deadline stream on Tuesday. Very annoying that Pickford conceded at the end versus Southampton. Could have got me 6 points minimum. Yeah, well, that's FPL for you, isn't it? I also had Mikalenko. And once that happened alongside Salah's goal, I went from 900k to 1.5 million. So yeah, life comes at you fast. Hey everyone, just sell DCL for better, guaranteed top 10 finish. Definitely don't go for better. Is Areola injured? Fabianski 2 starts in a row. He's not injured, it's performance-based. Fabianski made some big saves today, though. I think he'll start once again. Not FPL related, but are you thinking about using a chip? Well, I already used the Limitless in Matchday 3, so I've basically just limited myself to the Wildcard. That's a possibility, but I might be tempted to take a -4 hit, which is very rare for me in UCL Fantasy. So I'll talk about that in the team selection. But first off will be the best Wildcard and Limitless team videos. Odegaard is the heart of the team. Yeah, but it's still not an excuse. Arsenal got some results without him. They just haven't been able to sustain that beyond the 4-game period. Okay, Rodgers, Haaland to Salah and Cunha. Yeah, fine by me, mate. Do you think Palmer could score against Arsenal? Mate, anybody could score against Arsenal at this rate. And agreed with Jezza as well. Como dije en inglés recién, el plan es para hacer videos mañana y el lunes. Así que el Wildcard y Limitless van a ser mañana y el lunes. Así que sí, yo creo que voy a grabar el Limitless primero. Así que el Limitless el domingo, el Wildcard el lunes y también el Team Selection. Y el deadline stream, obviamente, sería el martes. I believe Arsenal need a left wing and proper striker. Yeah, but we've been saying that for some time now. Without Odegaard, they lost their soul. But he's back soon. That's the good thing. He could be available against Inter Milan in midweek. 26 points so far and dropped to 26k. It's a great rank though, we're saying. I wouldn't be complaining. 29 points from 9. Only got Borro and Bumo. Not a bad score. I mean, look, it looks terrible, but trust me, it's a very low scoring week. Do you follow price changes in UCL Fantasy? Too much for me, no idea how they work. They're based on performances, so if a player gets points, they go up in price based on that. It's not down to transfer activity like FPL. I actually prefer that sort of thing. They're not as impactful on a season. And also going into the knockouts, you get a 5 million increase to your budget, which makes things even easier to, build a really strong squad by that stage. I do speak Spanish, but yeah, not to the best of my ability. I think my English is way better. Ronaldo says captaining Haaland is just not on. He's in poor form. City is struggling. People have Salah or Palmer or even both, but still captain Haaland against Bournemouth. I still think Bournemouth were there for the taking. I mean, City, yes, admittedly they had a lot of injury issues. No De Bruyne is hurtful to Haaland, but he had big chances today. He should have scored at least one of them. Arsenal not buying Isak when they had the chance was a big mistake. The only kind of excuse I can make is that Isak is injury prone, so you don't necessarily have to buy him, but they should get a striker, a top quality forward at least, but they're not going to do it. True, because then Haaland to Cunha, Rodgers to Palmer, and Gabriel to Nuri is definitely my transfers for free. What do you think? I'm looking to do something similar. I'm not against that whatsoever, mate. And to buy Palmer and Cunha looks really solid. Thoughts on Mazraoui, given United's upcoming fixtures a new manager? He is fairly injury prone. I'm not even referring to the recent heart surgery he had. I just think in general at Bayern Munich and Ajax he had a few injury concerns over the years, but that could definitely be one to look at. Or Onana in goal, maybe Dallo. I just wouldn't go overboard and triple up on United suddenly, but I think 1 or 2 is fair. Still lots to drop in upcoming weeks while owning Foden and Haaland. Arsenal need to sign a clinical striker. Jesus is not the answer. We know that. Havertz not always scoring every week. Yeah, look, Havertz did a great job this calendar year, but he can't be the only one. And he's not even playing up front in recent games, so he's kind of doomed to fail with this current system. So yeah, I've been asked this a few times now. I did cover them earlier, but just one more time. Basically, these are all the possible price changes, as you can see on screen. Lewis, Konate, Antonio, Jorginho, Van den Berg, Bowen, and Dunk could go up in price. Sorry, Dunk, no. The rest will go up in price tonight. If not, over the next few days, we could see kind of a halt to some of the progress like Konate. Then with Dunk, Menis, Semenyo, and all this long list I read out earlier, I probably won't do it again. But as you can see, even Haaland could go down in price tonight. So yeah, wouldn't really surprise me based on the transfer activity. So yeah, if you want, feel free to pause and go back to it if you wish. But yeah, I'm not really too focused on price changes, but I am tempted to make early transfers just because I hate my team, or at least the way they're performing. Should have bought Gyökeres this summer. Maybe he wasn't available, but Arsenal just weren't ambitious enough in the transfer window. Even if they somehow go on to win the league, I still maintain that belief. So in the last 2 games, Haaland's shots been cleared off the line about 6 times. Look, against Southampton, easily could have been a hat-trick. Today, 1 goal minimum, but he's been missing sitters as well. Haaland out replacement other than Solanke Cunha. I'm not going to be recommending Solanke, mate. I mean, he's a hold for those that have him in Gameweek 11, but then a sell. I think apart from Cunha, you're looking at Jackson or Isak. I would recommend having one mid-price to premium forward still. It makes things more flexible for your setup. They could, but it's unlikely, Duarte. I think West Ham will score. I'd personally start Gabriel instead. Spanish is a good language to learn. That's one of my goals. To be fair, every language is technically a good one, but I get what you're saying. It is one of the most spoken languages in the world. I'd like to learn French, Italian, but just haven't done it. Just saw Tottenham playing Ipswich. Maybe we'll hold Solanke one more week. Yeah, definitely, but I wouldn't be buying him in for those looking to make a striker transfer. Do you think Dalot would be good? I just don't like Dalot offensively. I don't think he gets that many goals or assists. Maybe that changes now. When he does get an assist or clean sheet, he will get bonus points. That's the best thing about him, but yeah, I'm not really too fond of him, actually. Yeah, DJ, I did highlight your messages earlier, so if that's what you're referencing to, I'm not sure what you're on about, but yeah, in terms of Twitter and Instagram, you can easily contact me there for a message. On Discord, if you join the Discord server, you can pop me a message there as well. And yeah, I highlight as many questions as I can here. Might do a -4 tonight. Haaland to Wissa and Rodgers to Salah, with Rodgers and Haaland due to fall tonight and Salah to rise. Thoughts? Unless you're going to be priced out, you don't need to do them yet because we do have a lot of games in midweek. How about some Hindi classes, Dylan? Much love. Honestly, I can't see myself doing it, and languages are very difficult to obviously learn. It's a great skill to have, of course, learning as many as possible, but mate, I struggle to speak Spanish, let alone get a third or fourth language. You know, even German and stuff, I just wouldn't be able to do it, I think. Garnacho and Archer in a 3-5-2 or Welbeck and cheap mid in a 3-4-3. I would go for Welbeck and a cheap midfielder. Depends how cheap we're talking about, though. Free transfer Watkins to Worcester for Gameweek 11 to get Palmer. Yeah, I'm on board with it. Wait for Haaland, KDB Masterball. Haaland could turn back his performances, but still not good enough for 15.4 million. That's the problem. I do think Salah is worth going for instead. But I think Haaland will get goals in the next couple, that's for sure. Starts learning Spanish too. Duolingo for the win. Yeah, I just speak at home. And I did study it in school and stuff, but obviously it's more of a basic level compared to, you know, the Spanish you would learn in Spain, for example. I saw Gavardio a few weeks ago, and since he scored 3 goals and kept a clean sheet, yeah, it's just terrible timing sometimes, but you just gotta laugh at it if possible. For me, definitely UCL Fantasy. Not only do I do better in that game, but I find it, you know, far less template every single season, and there are so many different options, particularly in the group stages. And now it's called the league phase. Look how you regret having benched Semenyo the same way. I like to have a very strong 11. Typically, I'd go for a strong 11 and only one decent option on the bench. I've got so many bench points this season, I believe. Chris Wood on 2 occasions, Anthony Gordon 10 points in Gameweek 2 against Bournemouth, and of course Semenyo this week. Thankfully, I followed my instincts, which led to the captaining of Salah. I've already scored 45 points and have 3 players left to play. Yeah, good score, and you'll probably get 55 plus easily, so it's looking good. Keep Haaland and not captain him or sell him. I'm not sure, mate. I'm kind of sick to death of him. The good thing about it is I've kind of maybe jinxed him, which is good. Hopefully I can jinx Salah now. Do you think we are being a little bit reactionary with Haaland? Not really, mate. I mean, we're talking about 5 games where he's faced Wolves, Southampton, Bournemouth, you know, pretty favourable opposition, and he's missed some big chances. He should have scored at least 4 goals in that time frame. And look, it's not only just about Haaland. You know, he will come good. With De Bruyne back, he's going to get goals. The issue is he's 15.4 million, and by selling him, you can go to Salah, Saka, Palmer, whilst having a very balanced squad. I said this even last week and the week before, so it's something I've been thinking about for a long time. I might just pull the trigger and get rid. Thank you for the super chat, VJ. I appreciate it. Please rate this team. Fleckin, Lewis, Aït-Nouri, Salah, Mbumo, Rodgers, Garnacho, Cunha, Watkins, Haaland. Just wondering who your third defender is, since you've only said 2 of them there. But it's a good squad overall. Fleckin could be a problem. You know, I know he's a goalkeeper, but I just don't see Brentford keeping many clean sheets. That could be a sell very soon. I'd keep Rico Lewis, but there will be rotation there from time to time. Really good attack. Rodgers is benchable this week, though, against Liverpool. I think he'll blank there. But overall, apart from those nitpicks, I think you're in good shape. Maybe try to bench Rodgers this week if possible, and make a goalkeeper transfer in a few weeks' time. And I'm just wondering who your third defender is. Use your fantasy suite. Yeah, that is coming your way very soon. Doubling on Chelsea forward with Jackson and Palmer. I think that's fine, definitely. I mean, their run is incredible from Game Week 12 onwards, but you might want to argue that Watkins or Isak is even better. Yeah, I think that's definitely a shout, Ronaldo. It's a good squad overall. I think selling Haaland, once again, it opens up so much possibilities for you. So, yeah, by selling Haaland, you can buy Palmer in the midfield, get a decent third defender. The goalkeeper's not too relevant at the moment, but that's another possibility in the future. Yeah, Haaland price falling tomorrow. Possibly, maybe even tonight. Depends on how trigger happy people get. Too high for you says best DCR replacement in order except Wood. I wouldn't really recommend Wood anyway right now. I think it'd be Cunha, Wissa, Larson, Raul, based on a combination of fixtures, form, and also I just think the way the opponents will kind of line up against these teams and will it favour these assets. He's 15 million. You can get such a great team without him. He has to score 3 goals every match to justify his price. Exactly that. Ever since he stopped scoring hat-tricks and I was captaining him for, that period, my rank has gone from 200k to 1.5 million now. So I completely agree with you. Now, could this change later in the season? Of course. And there will be maybe a 3-4 game week period where Haaland looks amazing again and gets 5 to 10 goals. But until then, I think he is definitely not essential by, it's complete opposite of that. I think you could easily go for Salah instead. Well, not for me, Sam. The Argentinian accent is like a mixture of Spanish and Italian. So yeah, I find it kind of easy. I'm used to it by now. So yeah, my answer will be no, but maybe people will say otherwise. City might actually be a good fixture of attackers. Slightly, yes. They are still in the top 3, I think, for XGC. And goals conceded, they conceded 11 now, I think, or 10. Not great, of course, but yeah, look, I think they will come good as well. They're not suddenly terrible defensively like Arsenal. I think they will get things going soon. Speaking of UCL fantasy, would you like to see FPL add points for ball recoveries? Yes, and I've said this for many months and years now, but we could see a change next season with what they're implementing in FPL Challenge. But my hopes, I'm not going to hold out hope, let's put it that way. Yeah, some UCL games look great. I wouldn't include Inter Arsenal in that. Great game on paper, but Arsenal are terrible right now. Is Rodgers playing? Yeah, I think he'll play. I hope he doesn't somehow, but I'm not getting that luck. Dylan Gavardi is my third defender. Third defender? I mean, don't tell me you've got Gabriel and Trent as well. It's not worth going for that much money in the backline for me. Yeah, Son will play, but drops once more in price. I'm missing 0.1 million to buy him. Well, that is possible, actually. I think Son could go down in price tonight, mate, so you could be cooking in Game Week 11. Would you prefer Isak or Jackson to replace Haaland in Game Week 12? Right now, it would be Jackson, but if you've got Palmer already, I certainly wouldn't mind diversifying your attack with Isak instead. That could definitely be a play. If Kane was still in the Premier League, he could be other option than Haaland. Well, yeah, and I did have him actually quite a lot in his last season for Tottenham, but yeah, I mean, who even cares at this point? I've got Kane in UCL Fantasy and Haaland. I'll talk about what my plans are for those two very soon, but yeah, Erling Haaland has been a nightmare since Game Week 5 for me. I got Semenyo and Aina on the bench. That's a very tough one to take. Very unfortunate. I have Palmer. Was a comment on someone else's post. Palmer's my captain. Had the armband on Salah. Yeah, I'm aware of that, mate. I'm aware. I was just saying that you made a good point in reference to the super chat. Sell Haaland today before the price drop? Not really, mate. You're not going to be priced out. He's the most expensive player in the game. So, in my opinion, information is so important. You've got Champions League games in Europe throughout midweek. Look, Chris Wood, I think will still tick along nicely. Ipswich Town looks amazing for him in Game Week 13, but I'd rather buy Cunha, Wissa, possibly Strand Larson as well. Gavardio or Trent or both? I mean, based on recent form, you'd have to say Gavardio, but I'm still favouring Liverpool a little bit more, and also Trent. I reckon Haaland has himself not scoring on purpose, so everyone sells, so he jumps up the leaderboard. Yeah, definitely not for me, but who knows, mate. Football and life is funny sometimes. Best DCL replacement at 5.9 or below. Take a hit to bring in Aitnuri and Cunha. I'd personally say Wissa or Strand Larson for you, mate. You could take the hit for Aitnuri and Cunha. I don't mind it, but I think it's probably best to keep it simple and do a free transfer. Nice one, Tenzin. Dan the Man says Haaland, Foden, Rodgers to Jackson, Saka, Palmer for free. Yes, is my answer. Bear in mind that Foden scored a brace at the Amex Stadium last season. I'm hoping he can do that again if I end up keeping. Is Joao Pedro an option in the future weeks? Certainly. But I do prefer Welbeck. And I think they will coexist together, by the way. It's Joao Pedro versus Rutter for the starting 11, and then Welbeck versus Ferguson. Yeah, I agree, Chris. Joao Pedro is too injury prone as well. When he does play, he can get bonus points, but yeah, that was one of my first transfers this season, buying Salah and Joao Pedro in Game Week 4, and that's where all the pain started. All we need is Gyökeres and Sesko for a couple more forward options. Yeah, I mean, Sesko's had a good start to the season. He scored again today. Gyökeres, of course, is a goal-scoring machine. But yeah, I mean, Haaland is... Let's not talk about him anymore. Keep Foden for Game Week 11 if I'm wildcarding in 12. Yeah, I think so. That's my current plan as well, to keep Foden and sell in 12 or 13. I got 45 points. Good score, Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire! Worth doing DCL, Gabriel to Cunha, Konate for a hit. Konate actually came off of an injury, mate, so don't be buying him in just yet. Wait for injury updates there. It's not looking good at the moment. And I still think Gabriel has something to offer long term. You could go for Aït-Nouri instead, maybe Tsimikas, who isn't as nailed as Konate when they're both fit and available. But my answer will be no, based on the fact that Konate could be injured. Maybe Haaland stressed out that 70% have him in FPL. Definitely not me. He had like 90% ownership a few years ago, and you know, he was tearing it up, so I disagree. What to do with Watkins if I'm using Wildcard in Game Week 12? I'd probably sell. I'd look short term and just sell him. He's got Liverpool away next. I just don't see Villa causing Liverpool. They can cause problems, to be fair, but I don't think they'll score many goals. Salah's captaining himself in FPL, very confident. He's always been like that, to be fair. That's why I'm going to buy him, captain him, and hopefully jinx. I wouldn't mind. Time to triple captain Aït-Nouri? No. Do you think Barca will rest their players versus Red Star Belgrade? It's possible. I mean, they could rotate at least one of Rafinha or Yamal and still win the game, but I don't get the impression Hansi Flick will rotate too much. I still think they'll go strong, but the option is certainly there with the fixture. Who's the best defender to get? I'm looking to sell Gabriel, and I already have Aït-Nouri. I mean, Gavardio's looking incredible recently, but it's a difficult one. You know, Nottingham Forest defenders are good, but their fixtures are turning now. They're not looking too good at the moment. I think one of Mazraoui or possibly Dalot could be decent. Maybe I'd look in that direction. I'm kind of new to FPL, so when does -4+ points begin to kick in? That's a good question. I think this is already taken into account now, basically. So 4 points are deducted from your score as things stand. So yeah, as soon as the game week starts and the deadline closes, the -4 hit is taken into account. Royal Gaming says, is this team good? Yes, it is good. But there could be some changes in the coming weeks, of course. Konate is one to monitor. He could be out, and if so, that could be a transfer waiting to happen, but I wouldn't have too many concerns apart from that. No worries, Sanyam. Do you think Wolves will get a clean sheet? Yeah, I think they'll get one clean sheet, but no more than that. Are you going to get Trent sometime later? I did sell him in Game Week 7, I think it was, or Game Week 8. I think so, especially if I sell Haaland. I got 24 points from 8, very poor. To make it worse, I got 19 points on the bench from Semenyo and Kirkes. Wow, a double up in Bournemouth. Interesting. Hopefully they can get you some points when you actually start them. If I sell Watkins this week, would you bring him back on 12 on the wild card? Possibly, mate. I can't definitively say for sure if I'd buy Watkins on the Game Week 12 wild card, because you've also got Isak, Jackson, Cunha, Wissa, also Strand Larson, Jimenez, even Chris Wood potentially. So I still like Watkins a lot, but a lot could change from now until that deadline. Currently 51 points. Yeah, good players to go as well. It's looking very promising. Is Wood better option than Cunha, Raul? Well, Haaland will score more points than Chris Wood. He's in better form, but he's not a better option. Now, does he offer better value? Yes. From that perspective, you can certainly argue his case. Yeah, I think he is a better option than Raul Jimenez, but for the next 8 game weeks, I'd rather have Cunha. We're going to be wrapping up soon, by the way. I have answered hundreds of questions, and I've been streaming for almost 2 hours. So yeah, once we hit the 2-hour mark, I'll be having a very late dinner, which I'm used to. Don't worry, Argentinian times and that. USF1324 says Haaland and DCL to Isak and Cunha for 2 frees this week and bring in Salah for Brennan Johnson in 12. Probably not. I'd rather roll and keep Haaland in this case, or just sell DCL to Cunha if you can afford that. I'd only sell Haaland if you're buying Salah or something to that degree. Do you think Watkins scores against Spurs? Even with Van de Ven, I think Watkins can score, to be honest. I think he'll get something tomorrow. Could be an assist or a goal, but I don't think he blanks. Native Faith says, is it worth doing Rodgers and DCL to Son captain and 4.5 million forward for a -4? I think so, based on how good Son looks against Ipswich Town, but I think that's a transfer waiting to happen. The 3 main midfielders you want at a premium price tag would be Salah, Palmer and Saka. Mikdad A says, Saka and Semenyo or Mbeumo Gordon? Saka and Semenyo. Wissa got credited with the goal last week, but only on Monday. It didn't reflect on FPL points now. It was too late by that stage. Once the points are locked in and all the games have been done, that means no points can be changed. When Mbeumo has bad fixtures eventually, should I look to sell? Possibly, but I even said this a few weeks ago. I'd probably look at keeping Mbeumo because for me he's fixture proof. He's been incredible this season. But when we get to that stage, if Brentford start tailing off offensively or Mbeumo looks a bit inconsistent, we could maybe discuss a different outcome. But right now, I'd probably look at keeping him. Yeah, Isak was mentioned a lot of times. We're saying Gordon's not bad. Pope is actually a decent outside option in goal. But Isak is probably the best by far. Unfortunately, he's injury prone though. I think Cunha, Wissa and Jackson are the 3 best forwards from now. Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. If I was wildcarding this second, it would be that front 3, which I discussed in the best wildcard team. Thank you, Dave. Likewise to you, although you probably had it already. Manny Deep says, drop Haaland, DCL, Semenyo, Rodgers and get Cunha, Saka, Son, Joao Pedro for future rotation. I wouldn't buy Joao Pedro. He's injury prone. There's no guarantee he starts every single week. I'd rather buy Welbeck instead if you wanted to make that sort of move. You've also got Strand Larsen, although with Cunha you don't need to do that. Good transfers overall. I would reconsider Joao Pedro though, and eventually I think you'll probably buy Salah if you don't have him already instead of Son, but I understand why you'd want to do that sort of transfer with Ipswich Town at home. Thank you to everyone for tuning in today. Another 2-hour stream. If you haven't already, smash the like button and subscribe for new. Let's try to get this to the 200 likes on YouTube, and let's keep on pushing towards 35 subscribers and beyond. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, for the latest FPL and news fantasy updates. Join the Discord server and the FPL League, and also check out my Spotify, the YouTube channel memberships by clicking the join button on YouTube and checking out patreon.com/DylanRCM. You will get early access to my videos amongst many other perks, and I gifted 10 memberships earlier today and also 10 last week. So every single month, keep your eyes peeled for free memberships as well. All you have to do is engage with the content by liking the video, also commenting in terms of the comment section and the live chats, and you have a great chance of winning a membership. Absolute horror from City. Yeah, but it has been coming. I think they have ridden the luck a little bit this season against Fulham. A bit fortunate to win 3-2. Barely beating Southampton, although they should have scored more goals. And yeah, even against Wolves, they left it late. Ultimately, I still think they'll win the league, but the title is certainly there for the taking, and maybe Liverpool will take advantage. Could DCL consider worst pick for FPL managers that buy him? I just think DCL's a sell, to be honest. I definitely wouldn't be looking to buy him in at any stage now. Better could take his place eventually. Pick top 3 defenders in the current situation. If money is no issue, then I would say Gvardiol, probably Van Dijk, and I would probably go for 8 Nuri based on fixtures and also the attacking potential. What are you eating for dinner? I think homemade pizza, actually. It's really good, so yeah, I'm going to enjoy that. Maybe have a beer and calm down. Yeah. How do you guys feel for delaying 1 hour in the winter? It's tough for Asian viewers. Delaying 1 hour? Pardon my ignorance. Are you talking about the clock changes in October, late October? If so, I mean, it just makes the day shorter. I don't like that whatsoever, mate, but yeah, they do in Europe, so what can we do? Half of our City squad is injured, and I'm not trying to use that as an excuse, but could have played better. Yeah, but I think a lot of the key players, well, not key players, some of the players who were reportedly out definitively were on the bench, so it's only 1 game. A bit like how Arsenal had a mini injury crisis against Liverpool, but now all of a sudden they're mainly available. I do think City will end up going on a run anyway, so Yeah, if Liverpool don't build an unassailable lead by, let's say, Christmas, I think City will just walk the league, unfortunately. Rai says, after dropping Haaland and a little surgery, Fleck and Fabianski, Gabriel Gavadio, Kirkes, Aina, Aitnuri, Saka, Rogers and Boomer, Palmer, Salah, Cunha, Wood. Good squad. I'm not that keen on Kirkes despite his great performance today. And I don't think Bournemouth will get many clean sheets, but a very competitive 50-man squad. The only issue really would be your goalkeeper. I think Fleckin is sellable in the near future. The rest looks really solid. I'm kind of envious, and I'm looking at something similar for my own setup. Keep your eyes peeled for your fantasy content over the weekend. Going into the Monday, the best wildcard and limitless team podcast will be out very soon. The same goes for the team selection heading into match day 4, where I could play the wildcard or take a -4 hit potentially with only 2 free transfers available in that fantasy format. In FPL, I've got 3 transfers though, and I could maybe rip apart my team a little bit. There's also going to be the transfer tips for Gameweek 11, the best wildcard team. There could be some big changes there as well. And of course, future deadline streams and reaction streams for FPL and User Fantasy. I'll check it out. I don't even know at this point. Let's call it a day, lad. Let's call it a day. That's 2 streams. Even, I think there's a bit of lag going on now. So thank you very much, YouTube. I was just about bloody wrapping this up, for Christ's sake. But I do appreciate all your support. Thank you very much to all the super chatters, patrons, and channel members. I'll see you very soon for more FPL and User Fantasy content. And I wish you all the best of luck for the rest of the season.